Chapter 802, Babble on the Meteorolite. Chapter 802, Babble on the Meteorolite. On the isolated meteorite where rocks were piling up, Yin sat cross-legged on the hard and cold ground. He closed his eyes to adjust his power. He had only a dark blue cloak on his naked body. Not far from him, on a round, icy rock lay Feng Rao under the same colored cloak. Her snow-white arms extended out under the garment. Apparently, she had fainted and now was sleeping. An ice rock froze her and the round rock she was laying on. This ice was 5 meters thick. A faint white cold mist arose. Extreme cold air permeated everywhere. This was the ice-cold flame's work. Since Feng Rao had the third sky of King God Realm cultivation base, even if Yin had hurt her badly, she still had the power to resist. He begrudgingly had to use the cold energy of the ice-cold flame to seal her. Otherwise, when she woke up, she would wreak havoc everywhere. When that happened, it would be too much trouble to deal with her. The thick, transparent ice was confining her jade-while ample body. It looked like the ice was a perfectly cut white crystal, and she was the fossil trapped in this crystal, which gave her a strange and unique aesthetic. Yin closed his eyes while circulating energy to adjust his body's conditions. The soul altar slowly spun. After an unknown period, flows of mysterious energy were pumped all over his body, turning into the essence qi in his bones and flesh and healing his entire body. After breaking through to the King God realm and condensing the God body, Yin knew that there was no limit to the God body. If he was persistent, he could continue making his God body stronger and tougher. Under the nurture of that mysterious energy, a faint blood-like halo was covering his God body. It was somehow similar to the light the blood vein ring used to release. From a distance, he looked inexplicably mysterious. His vessels and bones became sponges that absorbed a large part of the mysterious energy, which made his God body more frighteningly tenacious. At the same time, the spinning soul altar seemed to have some subtle changes. The mysterious energy oozing out from the black hole diverged into different flows flowing into different sections of his soul altar. His sea of consciousness became larger under the support of that energy. Each flow of his soul consciousness now was as hard as steel and as flexible as cotton. After quenching countless times, they could now be released or retrieved at will. While the soul altar was revolving, the seals of Upanishad on the top tier became crystal clear. Yan's perception of the 3 powers Upanishad had made him advance one level further. In his heaven flame altar, the heaven flames were dancing strangely as they were trying their best to draw the flooding energy and merge with it. This would make their intelligence better, and their life forms would be sublimated. The great benefit that energy brought to the soul altar had surprised Yin much. All the heaven flames sent messages to him, telling him they all got great benefits from that energy. The 9 serenities soul-devouring flame, the ice-cold flame, and the corpse-vanishing flame went dormant. They were about to ascend to another level. This event had startled Yin. He now had a crazy satisfaction having that black hole, which could swallow the soul altar. A power Upanishad that could swallow the soul altar, let alone Feng Rao. Even Yin had never heard about it before. But now it happened to his body. How could he not be happy? After his 3 heaven flames got great benefits, they were about to break through to another level. This means the energy came out from that black hole could create miracles. Yin could not be more joyful. He adjusted his conditions and aura quietly. After an unknown period, he opened his eyes, bright as stars. He had wasted a lot of mental power and energy in this battle. Ultimately, he wasn't disappointed. Indeed, he received a huge harvest. Not only had he restored the consumed energy, he also made another step advancing. The essence tree, ancient tree, was filled with transparent energy. His soul altar was cleaned. His God soul became crystal clear. Vaguely, Yin could feel that he was just one step away from the second sky of King God realm. It seemed that if he could have a new level of perception of powers Upanishad, he could break through easily to the second sky of King God realm. His cultivating speed was something countless experts in the Raging Flame star area didn't even think about dreaming of. If Leona, Ziyao, Carthu, and the others knew that he had entered the second sky of King God Realm from his first sky of King God Realm. He wondered how scared they would be. Looking at the purgatory star in a far distance, Yan's eyes got colder, couldn't help but sneer. He still remembered his boastful talk of taking the head on Aogu Duo's neck and killing Aogera. He must make this pair of uncle and nephew pay a big, pathetic price. Aogu Duo and Aogera had used him as the sacrificial pawn to harm Leona, which had almost assigned him to eternal damnation. On the Purgatory Star, Aogu Duo wanted to kill him without listening to his explanation. Without Leona, he would have had no chance to enter the extreme purgatory field. He would not forget his resent towards Aogu Duo easily. 100 years was nothing significant to the other warriors, as they couldn't even break through a major realm. However, it would be plenty time for Yin to use 100 years. Perhaps he could continue breaking the barriers to reach the original God Realm. With his potential and deeds, if he could enter the original God Realm, killing Aogu Duo wasn't just a joke. It was a possibility, though. Getting up, he walked to Feng Rao. Yin frowned, assessing the woman as he was considering something with cold eyes. After a while, he snorted, placing his left hand on the crystal ice. The flaming energy of the sun was urged. Scarlet halos rippled from his palm, covering the thick ice. Under his scrutinizing look, the icy cold energy that created the thick ice rock melted. Water dropped into a stream, flowing from the rock under Feng Rao's body. As the ice covered her wonderfully beautiful body, her thin eyebrows slammed together. Yin cracked a smile as his eyes wandered on her interesting curves. He wore a strange smile on his face. A warm current flowed out of his palm, disappearing into Feng Rao's lower abdomen. It was the life energy of the death and life power Upanishad which contained the robust vitality. It could magically foster lives. As that warm current entered Feng Rao's lower abdomen, Feng Rao exhaled in relief. Her knitted eyebrows relaxed, signaling how she felt comfortable. She couldn't help but circulate that warm current, moving one round in her meridians. Gradually, Feng Rao felt like she was soaking in a warm lake. The fatigue she had washed away. Her spirit became sound. Shortly after, she batted her long eyelashes and opened her eyes. Yan's persistent and harsh face appeared clearly in her eyes at the very first moment. The humiliating memories flooded her instantly. Feng Rao woke up immediately from her hazy condition. A cold, murderous intention flashed across her exquisite face. Her ashen lips parted to shout, "Die!" Boom! The word "die" had stirred up the remnant of her energy. Just like a landslide, she aimed at the man within her reach. Confine. Yin didn't even bat an eye. He shouted inwardly, and his space power immediately confined the section in front of him. The sound of the word "die" dashed forward, stimulating the area in front of Yin. Waves of soul power appeared as if something sharp was trying to pierce through them. However, this strange sound couldn't do anything, and the energy it carried vanished. Squinted, Yin rose his hand to grab Feng Rao's smooth neck. He cocked his head and looked at her, sneering. "Still want to kill me? Seems you haven't recognized your situation well enough." Feng Rao's eyes were sinister as she gazed at him, as though she wanted to wolf him alive. "Haha, even if we participate in intercourse, you women are all the same. You hate and stay unreasonable. I like it." Yin burst out laughing, but his eyes were cold and heartless. His big hand clutching Feng Rao's neck loosened a bit. "Shameless!" Feng Rao wiggled and shouted ear-piercingly. While she was struggling, her snow-white arms had unintentionally dragged her cloak slip away. Her beautiful body was exposed instantly. The azure tattoos were moving on her white body, which dazed people. Yin snorted, and his mocking eyes lingered on her two ample heights. He appraised, "You do have good assets. This body, this bosom, haha, really, really big." Feng Rao felt humiliated, clenching her teeth. There was also blood on her lips. She stared at him with extreme hatred that she couldn't eat him alive. "I didn't tease you initially. You guys ambushed me first. You wanted to kill me. I just defended myself." Yin beamed a faint smile. He suddenly retracted his arm and stopped troubling her. He conveniently took the cloak to cover her naked body. Don't enrage me. With your condition, you can kill me only in your dream. You don't have even 20% of your power now. You're no match for me. If you take risks, you will face death. Feng Rao gazed at his back. She pondered for seconds, then took out a new leather robe from her fantasy sky ring. She put on her cloth, then took some medicines. During the whole process, she didn't whine or groan once. Shi Yin suddenly turned his head, his face indifferent. He gazed at her for a while and said calmly, with your current conditions, if you want to fully restore your power, it will take at least 2 weeks or maybe 10 days. But you're wounded severely. The recovery time will be slower. Yeah, in other words, at least you won't be my opponent within this 1 month. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you this. Even if you return to your best conditions, you can't kill me. At most, you can leave intact. What gives you such confidence? Feng Rao contemplated for a while, then stooped, concealing her countenance. Did you think that you had the power of the peak of King God Realm warriors when you killed Ganji and Pangjia stealthily? If Pangjia and Ganji hadn't consumed a lot of energy and wounded each other, you wouldn't have had a chance. Of course, it's not that easy. Shi Yin didn't bother with that and just smiled. I planned to ambush you guys because you were 3 and I was 1. If it were just one of you, it wouldn't be that difficult. Feng Rao lifted her head up, her beautiful eyes extremely cold and sinister. Do you really think that your power is enough to resist a third sky of King God Realm warrior? I do. Shi Yin nodded seriously. Then, he said, unfortunately, I won't give you a chance to taste it. Don't even think about provoking me. What do you want? Feng Rao gritted her teeth, cursing him shameless bastard. You know nothing about the star map. Why did you poke your nose into this? Which force do you belong to? Did Du Tianji assign you? Shi Yin was surprised. Du Tianji assigned me my ass. Jianggu had trapped me. He made me involved in this mess. If the 3 of you hadn't set me up, I wouldn't have had to risk my life. And now you hate me for that? Ridiculous. Pausing for a while, Shi Yin suddenly beamed a smile. Anyway, although it was wrong, it's all good now. I got in there, and the star map is in my hands now. Of course, I haven't forgotten my plan. Yeah, tell me the secret of the star map. If you're going to be honest, we can exchange it for your life. Chapter 803, A Pivotal Treasure. Chapter 803, A Pivotal Treasure. Feng Rao looked at Shi Yin boasting. Her gloomy eyes became begrudgingly bitter. If she could restore her power to the peak of her realm, she wouldn't hesitate to kill Shi Yin and take the star map. However, Shi Yin didn't act with common sense. From time to time, he would take unpredictable and unexpected actions, formulating surprising plans. This brute wasn't someone easy to deal with. She understood that he kept her alive not because of her glamour, but because of the secrets he wanted to know from her. The moment he found the secret behind the star map was when she would finally meet her demise. Once her powers were restored to the point that she could threaten Shi Yin, he would lose his mercy. He would wound her severely again and make her never be able to recover. She understood how he thought. However, she had no solution in this harsh situation. If you give me the star map, I won't hold you accountable for what you've done to me. I'm sure I can grant you much more wealth and status than what you could have in the dark firmament divine nation. How does that sound? Feng Rao contemplated for a while, thinking that Shi Yin wouldn't be content being subdued by the dark firmament divine nation. She offered him greater benefits in the hope that he would consider it. Well, since you want the star map so much, I won't give it to you. Shi Yin grinned, teasing her. Once you recover, you won't let me be free. It is easy to tell your true motive. How could he not see the cold and sinister resentment in Feng Rao's eyes? If he let Feng Rao recover fully, how would he suppress this woman? What do you want then? Feng Rao was infuriated. You've taken everything I've worked for, and you know nothing about the star map. You don't have a good background force either. What can you do with the star map? While squinting, Shi Yin smiled for the second time. I've just come to this raging flame star area. I don't know much. But because this place is unfamiliar territory, I am bounded by nothing. I have no family to be a hostage for. No one can force me to do anything. Yeah, you have the third sky of King God Realm cultivation base. If I kill you and take your soul memories, I won't need to waste a lot of time. Usually, only the warriors at a relatively high realm could confine the other people's god's soul and snatch its memories. Such warriors could know its thoughts and experiences. In other words, unless he reached the original god realm, it would be hard to kill Feng Rao and take what he wants from her god soul. However, if Feng Rao killed herself and exploded her god soul before he could do anything, even if he had the original god realm cultivation base, he would end up with nothing gained. Thus, after killing Pang Jia and Ganji, he kept her alive. While talking, Shi Yan's visage became colder, walking to Feng Rao. He looked at her indifferently. Perhaps torture will work? Who do you work for? Feng Rao's beautiful eyes sparkled in fright. Why does a person who know nothing like you want to involve yourself in this? Did you know that Pang Jia and Ganji were members of the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce and the Underworld League? I have a huge force that stands behind me too. If you aren't working for Du Tianji, I advise you not to stay involved in this. Get away from here as far as possible. Even if you have the star map, you can't do anything without a supporting force. Shi Yan's eyes brightened. He looked struck. So according to you, the star map's secrets are more important than I've thought. It made the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce and the Underworld League wait for hundreds of years. What is the secret? Who are you? Which is the force behind you? Have you ever heard about Fengku? Feng Rao's bold brows knitted together. She pondered for a while before saying quietly, Fengku of the Land of God Punishment? The leader of the outer space pirates? Shi Yan was shaken. He paled slightly. After he had talked to bloody slaughterer Ka Tuo, he paid attention to space pirates. He used to read about the Land of God Punishment. In the raging Flamestar area, the strongest forces were, of course, the Dark Firmament Divination, the Underworld League, and the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce. However, besides these three forces, other powerful forces lived in raging Flamestar area. Fengku was one of them, and he was the one they had to pay the most attention to. The outer space pirates were loosely organized. They hid in dangerous areas of the raging Flamestar area. Space pirates gathered the most in the Land of God Punishment, which was also a powerful force that held lots of influence. The Land of God Punishment was a unique area with fatal, unseen dangers. There was no life star suitable for warriors to cultivate. Besides the Dark Firmament Divination, the Underworld League, and the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce, that place could be the cradle of the fourth strongest force of the raging Flamestar area. Countless space pirates created a loose organization to resist the pursuit and attack from the other three big forces. Fengku was the strongest force among the pirates. He gradually became their leader. The Land of God Punishment was the refuge of countless robbers, thieves, villains, and madmen. It was packed with reckless experts. Fengku was the hidden boss of the Land of God Punishment. Many transactions happened there under his supervision and management. Fengku himself was the number 1 or number 2 expert of the entire raging Flamestar area at the second sky of original God Realm. His power was marvelous, and so was his force, which consisted of savage members. Compared to Fengku, Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tuo was a pirate who was not worth mentioning. In many businesses, he relied on Fengku. This man was prominently braver and smarter than the others. He was infamous for his brutal and merciless deeds. If that area weren't restricted, and the other three forces hadn't cleaned it up from time to time, perhaps Fengku's force could have been able to compare with the Dark Firmament Divination, the Underworld League, and the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce. This man had abilities and a huge force that supported him and obeyed his commands. He was almost the same as Du Tianji, the evil overlord of a vast region. Of course I have. Shi Yan was astounded. His face darkened. Is he related to you? He's my father. Feng Rao chinned up, snorting arrogantly. My reputation isn't less than him in the Land of God Punishment. Because of the star map, I had to enter the extreme purgatory field. Shi Yan was startled. He hesitated for a while before rubbing his forehead. Your father's fame isn't bad. He's an overlord of a whole region in the raging Flamestar area. But why does he want the star map? Well, I forgot to tell you that I've used my secret technique to report to my father. No matter what happens to me, if you dare show your face in the raging flame star area, my father won't spare your life, threatened Feng Rao. You've messed with the wrong person. My bad. Shi Yin got up and bowed while smiling. I have not treated the Pearl of the Land of God Punishment's overlord carefully enough. I even harassed you, too. I feel uneasy now. You dare say such words? Feng Rao was enraged. She could see in Shi Yan's eyes that only showed her mocking intentions. Thinking about what she had experienced, she couldn't press down the anger in her heart. She was infuriated. Although your father's mighty, the raging flame star area is large enough. How would he find me? Shi Yin grinned and stiffened his face. Moreover, he isn't the absolute force in the raging flame star area. If he dares show himself in the dark firmament divine nation, I don't need to do anything. The 5 great feudal vassals will contain him forever. Feng Rao's threat couldn't bind him at all. As long as he didn't go to the land of God Punishment, Feng Ku's territory, what should he be afraid of? But the map shows the direction of the land of God Punishment. Feng Rao sneered. The direction you were fleeing towards was also towards that place. It proves that our presumption is correct. My father knows you have the star map now. He also knows that you will have to go near the land of God Punishment. Do you think you will stay alive if you decide to go find the spot on that map? Even if you can find it, what can you do here? Can you hide the life star away? Can you move the part of the land that we haven't investigated yet? Shi Yin discolored in fright. His eyes sparkled with a strange light that was like 2 silky ribbons. He couldn't help but shout. What did you just say? A life star? An unexploited star area? Indeed, you know nothing. Feng Rao laughed, ridiculing Shi Yin. Your stupidity makes me laugh. You know nothing, but you want to be a part of this? Do you wish to experience death? Taking a deep breath, Shi Yin wasn't enraged, his face solemn. Can you elaborate? Feng Rao looked at him for a while, weighing the pros and cons of telling him. She decided to tell him. It can be concealed for a long time. 5 former imperial masters of the dark firmament divine nation used to work around the land of God Punishment. They found a secret passage leading to another star area near the land of God Punishment. I heard that this star area isn't vast. It has around 10 life stars, including a level 7 star and several big mineral stars. They hide enormous divine crystal mines and more strange crystals. They even have spiritual grass and plants that we directly use. The place contains items that warriors have dreamed of. However, that star area doesn't have any guards or living creatures. Paused for a while, Feng Rao continued. People have come there to explore. The 3 forces and the outer space pirates have tried too, but they achieved nothing. However, rumors say that the imperial master of the dark firmament divine nation went there before. They also made a star map. We can't verify these rumors. However, I believe it now. Once the news spreads out, many people will believe it. They will become crazy from knowing it. Shi Yin trembled hard. Around 10 life stars and even the level 7 one, divine crystal mines, countless herbs, and spiritual grass. These were enough to make the 3 forces crazy. Although the raging flame star area had many life stars, none of them were level 7. Shi Yin heard that the dark firmament star of the dark firmament divine nation was just between level 5 and 6. A level 7 life star could nurture countless precious natural products. Earth and heaven energy would be abundant, and it could even be materialized. The energy could turn into visible mist, which brought unimaginable benefits to warriors. The life stars itself would make any forces crazy for them, let alone the additional divine crystal mines and spiritual herbs. Who wouldn't be excited from hearing about those? Shi Yin had put forth everything in the raging flame star area and been dependent on Ziyao and the dark firmament divine nation to find a life star to act as the shelter for his family and friends in the Grace mainland. Even if he could have a level 2 life star, he would be satisfied. However, Feng Rao had just thrown him information like a heavy grenade out of the blue. How could he stop himself from shaking excitedly? Finally, he understood why Ganji, Pangjia, and Feng Rao had been secluding several hundred years to have a chance to grab that star map. Chapter 804, A Little Mercy. Chapter 804, A Little Mercy. After Feng Rao finished speaking, Shi Yin pondered for a long time. A new star area that people haven't exploited. This news shook Shi Yin hard. He was so thrilled that he shivered. He left the Grace mainland to find an exit for his family and friends. A life star could fulfill his wish. He used to think that this wish of his would take a long time to accomplish. But now, the secrets of the star map that Feng Rao had shared with him had given him a new train of thought. Around 10 life stars, and even a level 7 one, divine crystal mines, countless herbs, and spiritual grass. Any force of the raging flame star area that claimed this new star area could receive a massive resource. Whether it was the dark firmament divine nation, the Underworld League, or the 9-star Chamber of Commerce, whoever gained control of the new star area could suppress the other two. Within a couple of 100 years, it could become the ultimate overlord of the raging flame star area. Having no real land base was the reason why Feng Ku and the space pirates were weaker than the dark firmament divine nation, the Underworld League, and the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. There was no life star with earth and heaven energy around the land of God punishment, and where the dangers were arranged in layers. This place gathered villains and escapees who had no place to hide. If Feng Ku could claim the new star area, he would become a new powerful force of the raging flame star area that would be able to compete with the other three forces. If Shi Yin could get the new star area, not only he could solve the problem of the Grace mainland, he would also have the power to lay his eyes on the strongest forces of the raging flame star area. At that time, even though the owner of the dark firmament divine nation was Du Tianji, even the Underworld League and the 9-star Chamber of Commerce found it hard to bind him. When he could have time to grow, he could also become an overlord of a region in the raging flame star area. Shi Yin was thrilled listening to the secrets that Feng Rao disclosed. However, he couldn't explore a new star area alone. Since that area stayed between the land of God punishment and the 9-star Chamber of Commerce, it wasn't going to be easy to approach. Excellent. Thank you for sharing the information. Contemplating for a while, Shi Yin stood up with a cold visage. He lifted his head to look at the immense starry sea in front of him. The flame of lofty aspiration emanated inside him. I will claim that new star area at any cost. Even if you can find that place, what you can do? Feng Rao looked at him mockingly. You only? A first sky of King God Realm warrior? Under the scrutinizing looks from the crowd of experts, are you sure you can grab it? I can at the moment, but it doesn't mean that I won't be able to do such a thing in the future. Shi Yin grinned, not bothered by her ridicule. I'm still young. I still have time to do this. Just as you said, the star area over there has many people keeping an eye on it. No one can get in now. I got the star map. As soon as I've accumulated enough power with this star map, what would be impossible for me to accomplish? Accumulate energy? Is it that easy? Feng Rao snorted. There are many warriors at the King God Realm in the raging flame star area, and warriors at the original God Realm aren't rare. You've just entered the threshold, boy. Do you think that they are all fools who you can influence? Haha, what do you mean? Shi Yin smiled, staring at her. In fact, we can cooperate. Feng Rao stooped. However, she understood that she had to persuade Shi Yin to get access to the star area before the other three forces. Cooperate? How? Shi Yin smiled, walking toward Feng Rao. He could smell the fragrance that could be absorbed by people's hearts from her body. His hot eyes lingered on her white neck. He didn't want to hide the desire in his mind. You're Feng Ku's daughter. Haha, we've had intimate time with each other. Do you want to entice and recruit me? Feng Rao lifted up her head. Her beautiful eyes sparkled a dark light. Her look locked his without being afraid. My father's an overlord of an entire region. I have the third sky of King God Realm cultivation base. And you're just a warrior who doesn't have a clear origin. Am I not a suitable match for you? Shi Yin laughed evilly with some dark meanings, extending his rough hand to stroke her soft neck. He didn't bother with her rage and simply smiled. I can't reach that height. Feng Rao was infuriated. She shot up, shouting with a cold countenance. I know you won't let me off. Kill me. Don't be mad. I don't want to deny you. Shi Yin laughed shamelessly. You are so beautiful and mesmerizing. How could I kill you? I just can't figure it out yet. We have to go there anyway. Give me more time to think, okay? While he was talking, his big hand slid down, falling on the white hill under her garment. However, his eyes were bright and clear. She saw no lust in there. Get your dirty hand off of me. Feng Rao's jade-like hand shot out a light that bloomed into a small vortex, wiping Shi Yan's hand away. She flew 100 meters backward, looking at him cautiously. If you dare touch me again, I won't let this slip away. Even if I have to blow my soul altar off, I won't let you bully me. Why do you need to be so heartless? You know, one day, we could be husband and wife. We were so close, you know? I'm a sentimental person. If you talk to me nicely, add a honey here and there, you know? Perhaps I will follow you. Shi Yan felt funny. Stop your sweet talk. A heartless man like you will never be bound by women. Am I correct? Feng Rao snorted. Shi Yan gazed at her, his face indifferently. He didn't explain anything, just said, "We've been there for a long time. We should go. If the chasers of the divine nation come here, we're both in big trouble." Feng Rao didn't answer, still looking at him with hostility. The resentment in her heart remained. There was nothing to clean here. Shi Yan navigated the correct direction before flying out of the meteorite. He turned his head to signal Feng Rao to follow him, heading to the place of the land of God punishment and the 9-star chamber of commerce. Time flies fast. Half a month passed. Shi Yan and Feng Rao had soon left the territory of the dark firmament divine nation, approaching the peripheral area of the 9-star chamber of commerce. They had passed by some life stars, where some small forces of the raging flame star area dwelt. They were the subordinates of the 9-star chamber of commerce. The two of them were afraid of raising the attention from the three forces. While traveling, they tried their best to travel through the remote areas. They didn't dare come close to any life star. They had flown like that for a long time. However, the distance to the land of God punishment and the 9-star chamber of commerce was still pretty far. While moving, Shi Yan had confined Feng Rao's power, not letting her restore fully because that would have created a potential threat towards him. On this travel, Feng Rao gradually accepted her destiny. She knew that careful men like Shi Yan would never give her a chance. Thus, she stopped using the medicines and pellets anymore. Because every time she restored her power a little bit, Shi Yan would use his vitality destructive attack to draw her life energy. If she didn't become threat to him, he wouldn't attack her. Along this journey, Shi Yan often asked Feng Rao about the situation of the land of God punishment. The more he knew about this place, the more terrified he became. He became afraid of the land of God punishment and the outer space pirates that stayed around the land. The space pirates had 10 organizations, and Bloody Slaughterer Ka-Tuah was just one of those. In the place that gathered thugs, villains, and madmen, Ka-Tuah and his pirates were just a second-class force. Besides, there were 3 more experts at the original God realm like Feng Ke. However, they had just reached the first sky of original God realm. Their competences and forces weren't as strong as Feng Ke's. Anyway, those 3 were much stronger than Bloody Slaughterer Ka-Tuah. They were the intimidating thugs that the 3 forces rejected to accommodate. They had countless lunatics as their henchmen. That area was chaotic. The strongest would be crowned the king. Murders, plunders, arsons, and battles occurred daily. The pirates constantly competed. All had made this place the most disorderly and dangerous place of the entire raging flame star area. Incompetent warriors who didn't have the sufficient power to protect themselves would be gnawed to death once coming here, leaving no trace behind. Depending only on Shi Yan's power, it wasn't easy to find the location marked on that star map. It was possible for him to be skinned alive before seeing his target. Today, after they got exhausted, the two of them rested on an abandoned mineral star. They thought that they should find a war chariot. Using the energy of their bodies to fly drained them. However, they seemed to deviate from their main direction. Along this way, they saw no battleship or any war chariot of the Chamber of Commerce. The thought of using a chariot instead of walking became hard to turn into a reality. This abandoned mineral star had a small pond with clean and clear water. 5 colored rocks lay in the bottom of the lake, but they seemed useless to warriors. On this trip, Feng Rao was always tired. Every time she was able to condense a little energy, Shi Yin would heartlessly erase it instantly, which enraged her a lot. And she hadn't taken a bath for a long time. Seeing the crystal-clear pond, Feng Rao became excited. She didn't wait for Shi Yin to talk, flying directly into the pond. She stayed in the water and cleaned the dirt on her body. Shi Yin lay leisurely on his side on a big rock by the pond. He cocked his head looking at the water. He beamed a faint smile but didn't leave. "I want to take a bath. Can you be a gentleman and go away?" Feng Rao lifted her head and glared at him. She stooped as if she didn't want to see him at all. "You are controlling my power. I can't do any harm to you shortly. What makes you worried then?" "I'm afraid you will contact your father discreetly." "I should be vigilant," answered Shi Yin indifferently. However, he didn't seem to move an inch. He had soon planted a beam of his soul consciousness with space energy. As long as Feng Rao's soul altar had any strange commotions, he would be informed immediately. He would never give her a chance. Feng Ku was intimidating and brutal. If he let this man locate him and come for him, even if he had had 3 lives, they weren't enough for him to get killed in the other's hands. He concluded that he must stay cautious anyway. Feng Rao was enraged, but she could only grit her teeth. She turned around and took off her clothes. She gradually revealed, little by little, her flawless white back. She slowly sank into the pond, concealing her appealing body. Shi Yin squinted, eyeing her vague, tender body inside the pond. However, his serious and cold face didn't relax either. This woman was cunning and vicious enough. If he gave her a chance to turn around, she would take it and storm over without any hesitation. Shi Yin didn't want to have any chance of some unavoidable trouble. Chapter 805, Bloody Chief Skull Battleship. Chapter 805, Bloody Chief Skull Battleship. Feng Rao had no idea how she could resist Shi Yin. She couldn't make sure Yin didn't leave, so her only option was to hide her body under the water to clean up. Since she hadn't had the chance to touch such clean water for a long time, she didn't want to let this chance slip away. The water in the pond was transparent. Even if she was hiding underwater, Shi Yin would still be able to see the heart-touching white areas of her body. He had a nice view just from staying here. He had touched her body many times. It seemed like Feng Rao had accepted her destiny. She didn't dodge anymore and simply let him watch her clean and wash. Shi Yin was lying on his side of the rock by the pond, his face cold and solemn. Then, he chuckled. He jumped into the pond, bathing just a dozen meters from Feng Rao. He looked at the starry sky above his head and relaxed. Feng Rao was startled. She thought that Shi Yin would harass her again. She was on guard. After she confirmed that Shi Yin wasn't planning to harass her, she calmed down her tense nerves. The Raging Flame Star area and the Grace mainland seemed to be infinitely far from each other. They were so far away from each other that even if Shi Yin had used all of his immortal demon blood, he wouldn't be able to sense anything from the other side. Wandering alone in a strange area, it was hard to find a moment to relax. Looking at the sea star that seemed to never end, he couldn't help but feel homesick. It has been dozens of years since he arrived in the Grace mainland. His memories of the other world faded gradually. He had lost his parents and now, under another starry sky, he once again didn't have a family. At that moment, he was uncontrollably wild. He liked to stretch his limits and seek for pleasure. He didn't have brothers or any close relationships. Also, he didn't have anyone who he wanted to be sincere and kind to. After he had descended to the Grace mainland, he had a new identity of a completely different Shi Yin. From that moment, he had experienced the affections that a family can give. Shi Yin and the Shi family had treated him well as he was the hope of the family. They had taken care of him. He had dazzling life experiences in the Grace mainland. He felt that his life finally had a meaning, and he had passions that he wanted to pursue. There were many heart-touching moments in this place that he would never forget for the rest of his life. Looking at the starry sky, the images, which were somehow both familiar and strange to him, flashed vividly in his head. A light dot appeared in the starry sea above his head. It gradually enlarged. They could vaguely see that it was a battleship, which was prominent among the star dots. It was moving quickly towards them. Yin got up abruptly. He immediately moved towards Feng Rao in the pond, letting out a low shout, "A battleship." Feng Rao was startled. She hastened to cover her charming body with another leather robe. She glared at him angrily before lifting her head to look at the sky. After Pang Jia, Han Di, and Ganji died, Yin took their jade tokens. A magical life energy reflected in the jade tokens. Yin immediately took one of them out and held it in his hand. He relaxed his mind. Feng Rao reacted shortly. She took out her jade token to conceal her aura. Crack! The firm rock foundation of the pond exploded, revealing a deep cave. Yin didn't say anything, pulling Feng Rao into the cave that was under the pond. He hauled a big rock to seal a large portion of the entrance. His cold and gloomy eyes pierced through the pond water to watch the sky. Since he hid his life energy and his god body, the warriors on that battleship would never be able to sense them unless they had the high sky of original god realm. Who could they possibly be? Yin asked Feng Rao. He frowned. He wasn't familiar with the layout of the raging flamestar area. He didn't know which force this area belonged to and who would pass by frequently. Feng Rao knitted her bold brows. Only the battleships of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce travel through this area. Sometimes the space pirates would wait here to rob the 9-star Chamber of Commerce's battleships. Anyway, this area is relatively safe compared to other places. Battles rarely take place here. The cave Yin had made wasn't big. As the two of them squeezed inside this cave, they had to stay close to each other. They could feel the body temperature of the other through their soaked clothes. Feng Rao's face was odd as she unconsciously looked where her hand was touching. She frowned and jolted to stay away from him. Yin found that immediately. He just smiled, looking at her. "Where on your body haven't I touched you yet? Why are you being so polite to me?" Feng Rao hated him deeply in her heart. She clenched her jaw. Resentment sparkled in her eyes as she lowered her voice. "I swear, one day, you will pay a big price." It was all right when she said nothing, but after she finished her threat, Yin chuckled evilly and leaned closer to her. Space power appeared which binded her. While she was startled, Yin pulled her to his chest with one hand. Feng Rao fell into his embrace. Yin smiled until his eyes squinted. "I told you, I'm soft-hearted. If you want me to cooperate with your father, the other tricks won't work. I told you that using your beauty would work. Anyway, we're intimate. Marriage would be enough to have you on my side." "Ghosts by it." Feng Rao gritted her teeth. As she wanted to wiggle, she suddenly paled and shouted slightly, "Bloody Chief Skull Pirate, they're Russell's men. Be careful." Yin was surprised. He stopped his teasing and faced the sky. His face darkened. The battleship appeared in their sight slowly. It was 700 or 800 meters long, which was made of some strange gray wood. Blood stained everywhere on the body of this battleship. They could even see some darker spots where blood had dried and stained. Blood-dripping skulls were hung along the body of the ship. They belonged to different races with different sizes. Each skull was hung onto the battleship by a small rope. At first glance, it had several thousand skulls, which intimidated people. An eccentrically beautiful bloody skull flag swayed on the battleship. This flag seemed to have been recently soaked in fresh blood because blood was still dripping from it. Warriors standing on the battleship were watching here and there. All of them looked malicious and brutal. Ferocious light sparkled from their eyes. The bloody Chief Skull Pirate is a mighty force of the land of God punishment. Russell is the boss. He has the first sky of original God realm. He is ranked just behind my father in the land of God punishment, said Feng Rao with a cold visage. Russell is infamous. He likes blood-dripping skulls. After he kills an expert, he would behead him to have the spoils to hang on his battleship. The Bloody Chief Skull battleship is made from the bloody sulfur tree. The tree's material is tougher than any metals. It can conceal the auras of the voyagers. This toy is very fast and tough. Russell, the leader of the Bloody Chief Skull Pirates, was one of the space pirates based in the land of God punishment. He had the original God realm cultivation base with brute deeds. In the land of God punishment, He was one of the small numbers of warriors who could fight Feng Ke. This is his territory? Shi Yin frowned. According to you, this place doesn't have many battles taken place, does it? Yeah, battles are rare, but it doesn't mean there will always be nothing. Feng Rao rubbed her head, talking with a headache. Russell and his bloody chief skull pirates won't leave their lair, usually. I think they have a big operation today, which is why they are coming to this place. I'm sure some battleships that transport materials are about to pass this area. Russell came here to prepare his ambush beforehand. Shi Yin got serious, embracing Feng Rao with both arms while increasing the energy in his body. He was vigilant. Once Feng Rao made strange moves, he would subdue her immediately. Feng Rao's father was Feng Ke, the true devil hero of the land of God punishment. Perhaps he would have a good relationship with Russell. When Russell knew he got Feng Rao and his whereabouts was disclosed, it would be hard to escape. You don't need to be so careful. Feng Rao felt like she got an electric shock. She blushed unnaturally, clenching her jaw. Russell doesn't get along well with my father. Everybody knows that. If he knows you are detaining me, he won't help me, and he would even facilitate you. Shi Yin smiled begrudgingly, but he didn't buy it, still hugging her tight. He whispered in her ear, I don't care about him, just watch now. Feng Rao was enraged as she knew that he just wanted to harass her, but she was at her wit's end. Cursing herself for falling into this low situation, Feng Rao hastened to gather herself together, forcing her mind to be clear. She talked with rage. Let off me first. You see, I think they came here to make a base. Shi Yin didn't care about her words, pointing at the space above their head. This mineral star has been abandoned. Still, it has a lot of mines. They can hide in those mines and not build anything. Seems like Russell is going to have a big business here. I wonder who his poor target is. Of course, it's the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce. I heard that Russell and the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce have a bloody grudge. It's been so many years, and he still wants to grip the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce. I heard that he used to be a member of the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce. However, his family was eradicated, and he got people chasing after him. That was why he escaped to the land of God punishment. Seeing that he wasn't going to let her free, and with no way of getting out, she explained through her gritted teeth. The 9-Star Chamber of Commerce wants to kill him. It's been years. If the land of God punishment didn't have so many dangerous places to hide, Russell would have died already. However, now that Russell has reached the original God realm, he has the capacity to resist the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce. Lately, he's become the mad dog that keeps gazing at the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce. I think it's not an exception this time either. Haha, I feel like I have more eyes having you here. It will be much easier traveling in the land of God punishment with you then. Shi Yin smiled. His big mouth caressed Feng Rao's earlobe. Feng Rao jolted as if she got an electric shock. Her plump body shivered uncontrollably. Her white skin reddened. Shi Yin just smiled. Behind Feng Rao's neck, his eyes were as calm and cold as usual. He didn't actually want to do anything with her. Shi Yin decided to conquer this woman and make her follow him willingly. She would become one of his hands to help him claim the new star area. Chapter 806, Empty Fantasy Crystal. Chapter 806, Empty Fantasy Crystal. The bloody chief skull pirates slowly approached the abandoned mineral star. Soon, a massive battleship landed on the star. This mineral star had countless caverns running all the way to the ground. Some caverns were big enough to contain 10 massive bloody chief skull battleships effortlessly. The bloody chief skull battleship landed in a gloomy cavern that was so dark that they couldn't see the bottom. Russell's pirates gathered rocks around to cover the bloody chief skull battleship. This would prevent people from seeing it from an aerial view. The wooden material used to build this battleship was unique as it could conceal life auras. The pirates just needed to stay on their ship. Within a certain distance, the other warriors wouldn't be able to use the soul consciousness to detect them. Russell apparently had a detailed plan. Hide the battleship on the mineral star with all of his pirates staying inside the ship so they wouldn't be discovered by experts and battleships passing by this area, which could create an effective opportunity for ambush. Shi Yin and Feng Rao stayed in the hole under the pond, seeing the bloody chief skull pirates arrange everything. They didn't dare leave their shelter, but continued watching. Seems like we need to find a place to shelter. Yin had let Feng Rao go a long time ago. He frowned, contemplated before continuing. This mineral star has only one pond, which is the one we're hiding in. I can't guarantee that they won't come here for water or shower. We should move deeper underground. Feng Rao nodded in agreement with his decision. Crack, crack, crack. The cave where they were expanded under Yan's power. Shortly after, the cave was enlarged a dozen times. However, the entrance was still small and stayed sealed by small rocks. If the pirates came and didn't check it carefully, they wouldn't find this place. Staying in the extended cave, Yin was sitting 5 meters away from Feng Rao. They sat cross-legged, facing each other. Why do you want to stay here? Feng Rao was surprised and couldn't understand his intentions. You don't have a relationship with the bloody chief skull pirates or the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. Are you sure you want to interfere their business? Shaking his head, Yin explained, I don't want to poke my nose in this. However, this mineral star now has so many eyes and ears to watch Russell. If we stay here and use the jade token to hide our auras, they won't find us. However, if you are persistent and want to leave, once you enter the atmosphere, I'm not sure that they won't see you. Pausing for a while, he frowned and said, You said that Russell has the first sky of original God Realm and that some of his troops have reached the third sky of King God Realm. If he finds us, it won't be easy for us to escape this star area alive. Feng Rao also nodded seriously. It's true. It won't be easy. Russell isn't a nice guy. Perhaps he knows why I came to the Purgatory Star. If he knew about my whereabouts, perhaps he would come to the conclusion that I have the star map. Then, he would definitely not let us go. For the time being, we'll stay here. We don't care about what they do or will do. We shouldn't pay attention to them either. Yeah, wait until they're done with their business. Afterward, they will leave for sure. I doubt they would stay in an abandoned mineral planet for a long time. Yin pondered before expressing his opinions. Feng Rao contemplated for a while. She thought that they couldn't do anything further than that, so she didn't talk more. Time flies hurriedly. 10 days had gone just like a blink of an eye. Feng Rao and Yin had always secluded in the cave under the pond. They hadn't gone out once. Sometimes, they would peer through the water to see the sky and find nothing. Most of the time, they didn't talk to each other. Each of them closed their eyes and meditated. 10 days were short. It was so short that Yin had just sunk into his star power Upanishad, and he hadn't had time to perceive anything yet. After he had reached the King God Realm, the progression of his 3 powers slowed down. However, accumulating energy wasn't something hard to him, as he just needed to kill people and use his acupuncture points to filter and refine the energy to supply and maintain peak status. Yin didn't need to worry about energy sources. Only if his powers Upanishad could upgrade. Then, they could help him break through to a higher realm. The battle at the other meteorite where he killed Pang Jia and swallowed Ganji's soul altar had helped his god soul, making the seals of Upanishad crystal clear. He could see the sign of the bottleneck. Yin wanted to seize all chances to strengthen his powers Upanishad, which would be his door to the new realm. This time, he didn't restrain Feng Rao. After 10 days, Feng Rao had restored 30% of her full energy. Now she had half of the strength she would have had in her peak condition. Usually, at this moment, Yin would do something to reduce her energy, dragging her competence down to 20% or 30%, which ensured that she wouldn't become a threat to him. Feng Rao understood him well. After 10 days had passed, she woke up and opened her bright eyes, watching him in silence as if she was waiting for him to attack her. Opening his eyes, Yin smiled brightly, talking deliberately. Our situation is a bit different now. I won't restrain you this time. Yeah, you can restore half of your powers. If something unexpected happens, you can defend yourself. Feng Rao quietly exhaled in relief. She put on a faint smile. Seems that you're not as vicious as I thought. If you attack me in this given circumstance, you would truly be an asshole. Smiling, Yin didn't care about her ridicule. You're Feng Ke's daughter. I want to ask something. Besides you, how many children does your father has? I have 2 brothers, Feng Rao frowned, contemplating for a while before explaining, from different mothers. Shi Yin smiled. Does your father love you? In his eyes, who is more important? Feng Rao put on a cold visage, snorted, but didn't answer. I understand, Shi Yin nodded. If you are more important than your two brothers, you wouldn't have to go to the extreme purgatory field. No wonder. In the raging flame star area, daughters aren't more favored than the sons. Feng Rao was enraged, her face cold. What is it that you truly wish to say? I want to say that even if you can return to the land of God punishment, it would be impossible for you to inherit your father's forces one day. Perhaps your two brothers will kill you. It would be better to follow me then, said Shi Yin with his thick-skinned face. Follow you? Feng Rao was surprised. She immediately panted in anger. What do you have? What are you to me? Me, follow you? If you don't have the star map, you have nothing. Just who do you think you are? You're just at the first sky of King God realm. You can't even defeat me. What can you offer me? Ridiculous. She was a woman with great ambitions. She had planned carefully. Otherwise, she wouldn't have got into the purgatory star and stayed there alone for several hundred years. If there was a man who was stronger than her in many aspects, a man who could offer her powers and pleasures, perhaps she would submit herself to him and serve him well with all her heart. However, Shi Yan's powers at this moment weren't excellent. They weren't enough to convince her, but to make her laugh. It is true that I can't offer you anything now, said Shi Yin with a solemn face. But it doesn't mean that it will be the same later. Although this raging flame star area is vast, it can't hold me. Sooner or later, I will surpass everyone else. If you follow me today, you can have all that belongs to me in the future. Well, wait until you can prove that. When you do, come back and talk to me again, snorted Feng Rao disdainfully. Apparently, she wasn't going to give in so easily. Shi Yin smiled and said nothing else. He understood that it wasn't easy to conquer this woman. He had time. He believed that if this woman stayed with him a little longer, she would gradually change her mind. Maybe one day. Although the raging flame star area was vast, Shi Yin didn't have a good background. Even if he wanted to do something, he didn't have the means to do anything. Without subordinates, how could he be an overlord of a region? In his eyes, Feng Rao was cunning and wicked. She had many accomplishments. If he could gain her favors, his beginning would be smoother. Ziyao was a princess of the dark firmament divine nation. She would absolutely not risk her life for him. Forces of the dark firmament divine nation were still fighting against each other discreetly. If he wanted to ask for Ziyao's favor without a sufficient force, people would look down on him. A ship is coming. Feng Rao suddenly let out a low shout. She came close to the cave entrance to peer at the sky out there. Her face slightly changed. Shi Yin stopped thinking about the future, walking to the crack he left open at the cave entrance. Standing next to Feng Rao and taking in the tender aroma of her body, he got distracted, his mind disoriented. He thought that if he could subdue this woman, perhaps his scheme of the new star area would be very convenient. A massive vessel with the 9-star chamber of commerce's symbol was moving slowly in the dark sky. It became bigger in their vision as it came closer to the abandoned mineral star. The crest of the 9-star chamber of commerce. The incomers should be members of the 9-star chamber of commerce. Since this ship was huge, it was probably carrying a lot of materials. A flow of soul consciousness was released together with space power, making this flow sway between folds of space, stealthily moving toward the battleship. Shi Yin knew that with space power, his beam of soul consciousness would be hard to catch while its sensibility was enhanced. However, his soul consciousness fell into that big ship like a rock sinking into the ocean. It seemed like it was disrupted by an unknown force. Shi Yin couldn't feel anything. Shi Yan's face changed to be more solemn. That ship of the 9-star chamber of commerce can distract space power? How is it so dangerous? Never heard about that. Feng Rao shook her head in surprise. There's no battleship in the raging flame star area that can blind space power. It's impossible. When my soul consciousness came close to that big ship, I lost the connection. I found nothing. Shi Yin frowned, talking in a low voice. Your soul consciousness is created by space energy? Feng Rao was a little frightened. Yin nodded. The ship carries something special. Feng Rao contemplated for a while. With her broad knowledge, her eyes suddenly brightened. The empty fantasy crystal. Only the empty fantasy crystal can produce such an effect. Empty fantasy crystal? Yeah. It is the main material used to create fantasy sky rings. It is also the main material to build space formations. It's a dozen times precious than the ethereal crystal. They say that if we utilize the empty fantasy crystal more efficiently, we would be able to create space passages connecting different star areas. Of course, we need the experts who have space energy to use the God Soul to control the formation, explained Feng Rao. Yan's eyes brightened, shaken by this new information. I want it. Chapter 807. Take a part in. Chapter 807. Take a part in. The empty fantasy crystal could connect different star areas through the creation of space passages. Nothing else was more useful than this. After he arrived in the Raging Flame star area, he kept in mind that he had to bring his family and friends from the Grace mainland to this place. In order to fulfill this wish, he had to continue developing his understanding of space power. The empty fantasy crystal was a light that illuminated his soul. Yin couldn't contain himself anymore. Do you want it? What will you do for me then? Feng Rao beamed a forced smile. The empty fantasy crystal is so precious in the Raging Flame star area. Even 100 pieces of top-quality divine crystal wouldn't be worth one empty fantasy crystal. If this ship does have that crystal, it will be the most precious material on there. How will you get it? After a slight pause, Feng Rao continued to stir him up. The 9-star Chamber of Commerce is one of the 3 strongest forces. Do you think it will be easy to deal with Russell's forces? There is no need to even mention the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. Russell's bloody chief skull also wants this ship. Do you have a death wish? How dare you think about robbing him? I must have it. Yin snorted with a cold face. If you want to die, don't drag me with you. I don't care about your disgusting business anymore. Feng Rao shook her head. Since her advice seemed to be in vain, she didn't talk more. Yin was not concerned about this. He concentrated, looking at the battleship of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce, and tried to plan for this. That battleship approached the abandoned mineral star. It was close enough now to see people walking to and fro on the battleship like a colony of ants. Boom! A significant tremor boomed from the mineral star that sounded like the earth was roaring ear-piercingly. Russell is starting to move. Feng Rao shouted slightly. As she finished talking, war chariots soared into the sky from the caverns in the mineral star, one by one. A strident voice echoed, Fanyi, your grandpa is here to take your life. Wild and surging earth energy burst out. Countless mountains exploded on the mineral star, creating a chaotic stream of rocks hurling towards the big ship of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. The biggest rock was as large as a 100-meter-tall mountain, flying with tremendous momentum, harsh and crazy. It's Russell. Feng Rao is frightened. He comes here himself? Who's Fanyi? Yin asked in a low voice, his face serious. He's Fan Tion's brother. The Fan family is the pillar of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. It's the biggest clan with mighty forces. He is very tough to deal with. Fanyi has the first sky of the original God realm. It will be a fierce fight. The 9-star Chamber of Commerce consisted of different families. It was a league of families, and the Fans were the biggest family of them all, the main pillar of the Chamber of Commerce. Fan Tion was the current president of the chamber. His voice held great influence and power. He was a character at the same level as the hegemon of the Underworld League and Du Tianji of the Dark Firmament Divine Nation. There were many experts of the Fan family as there were clouds. Besides Fan Tion Pua, the dazzling star of the new generation, their previous generations were all excellent experts. Fan Yi was one of the strongest warriors of the previous generation of the Fan family. He was in charge of logistics operation of the chamber. He was also a powerful character in the Raging Flame Star area. Seems like the ship is transporting something that goes beyond monetary value if Fan Yi was escorting it and Russell coming himself to steal it, Feng Rao commented. It's likely that they have the empty fantasy crystal. That is why Fan Yi is escorting it personally. Yin, don't act rashly. Otherwise, you will die unknowingly. Both Russell and Fanyi were at the first sky of original God Realm. Either of them could kill Yin easily. They also had many King God Realm warriors, including the third sky of King God Realm ones. Joining this battle wasn't a wise move. Yin contemplated for a while. He frowned and then asked suddenly, "Is it easy to get the empty fantasy crystal in the raging flame star area?" Feng Rao was startled. She mused on it before shaking her head. Not easy at all. The empty fantasy crystal is generated in a twisted space of the Underworld League. The production rate is too small to even produce one in 100 years. It's rare even in the auction house of our land of God punishment. If I miss it this time, could I have another opportunity to get the empty fantasy crystal later? Like, maybe within 10 years? Feng Rao shook her head. All right then, I know what to do, said Yin with resolve. I must take this risk. Even if I may lose my life, the empty fantasy crystal will be worth it. What do you want to do? Feng Rao had a headache. Only the top-grade blacksmith could use the empty fantasy crystal to build the fantasy sky ring or the magical space formation to connect spaces. Only the three forces could do that with the main planet. You're just a small warrior. Aren't you overthinking this? She didn't know that Yin had arrived in the Raging Flame star area for just 10 years or the burdens he was bearing, so she couldn't understand why he was so persistent. While they were talking, the pirates riding on the war chariots were storming furiously towards the battleship of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. Russell's Wrath of Earth Power Upanishad was urged. Pieces of rock and soil fluttered like a meteor shower that bombarded the big battleship. Instantly, a tricolor halo bloomed from the ship, creating a magical cage covering it entirely. No matter how much they tried, the big ship couldn't endure Russell's power, trembling hard under the heavy rock shelling. "Russell, do you have a death wish?" A lanky figure appeared on the deck of the ship. "We thought it would be okay to forgive you and not eradicate your family." "You coward. If you want to rebel against our fan family, did you think that we wouldn't harm you?" "That's Fanyi." Feng Rao lowered her voice then explained. "Seems like Russell and the fans have a lot of resentment for each other. No wonder why Russell is like a mad dog that always stares at the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. If it were me, I would pay any price to take revenge for that grudge until I die," said Yin with a cold and harsh face. Boom, boom, boom. Pirates in the chariots urged their energies to attack the big battleship. Numerous beautiful bunches of light bloomed in the dark space. They screamed and shouted as they approached the ship. A handsome, bearded, bulky man with a terrible scar at the corner of his eye flew alone towards the big ship. He faced the sky and laughed like crazy. "The fans didn't kill me that year. That was your biggest mistake. As long as I'm alive, I will continue troubling this family. You will never know peace. Fanyi, you killed my whole family and replaced my family in the Chamber of Commerce. Today, I will get revenge. I will give you what you deserve." This man was Russell, the leader of the Bloody Chief Skull Pirates. He used the Earth Power Upanishad. Once he deployed his god domain, he could control countless meteorites in outer space, shelling the 9-star Chamber of Commerce's battleship. Shortly after, the tricolor light barrier couldn't endure any longer under the unceasing attack. It shattered. Many pirates in their chariots were waiting for this moment. They landed on the big ship. The fierce battle burst out. Yin and Feng Rao didn't hide in the cave anymore. They got to the pond, lifted their heads to watch the furious battle taking place in the clouds. They all gawked. Terrifying energy flew everywhere, flashing in the dark starry sky and exploding like beautiful fireworks. Beams of energy shot out here and there like 5-colored meteors. Different god domains appeared on the deck of the ship. For the time being, this ship couldn't endure such furious energies, and it started to split. It looked like it would break in any minute. When different god domains of the King God Realm warriors made contact, energy would burst out fiercely. From where they were standing, Yin and Feng Rao could see many peculiar god domains, all of which were terrifying. Russell has ravaged so many materials recently to facilitate his cultivation. I heard that he's about to break through to the second sky of original God Realm. This man is so ruthless. He also bears grudges in his heart forever. His experience is varied. Fanny cannot match him as his opponent. Feng Rao lowered her voice. Then, this will be the best. Shi Yin stood still like a mountain. It's better for us that both of them get defeated. Jade and stone must all shatter. I just need the empty fantasy crystal. It's not that easy. Feng Rao shook her head and sighed. Even if Russell and Fanny don't notice you, once you join the battle, the third sky of King God Realm warriors will see you. You won't be able to escape. Pausing for a while, Feng Rao looked at him. But the main reason is that you can't put the empty fantasy crystal in the fantasy sky ring. This crystal is so obvious you can't bring it away discreetly. It's impossible. I advise you not to dream about it anymore. Then we can seize a war chariot, Shi Yin snorted. Whether it's the pirate or the 9-star Chamber of Commerce, they have war chariots that we can use. It won't be a problem to transport the empty fantasy crystal by war chariot. While they were talking, Shi Yin sent his soul consciousness to the center of the battle. His beam of soul consciousness moved to and fro, carefully rejecting space energy in it. His soul altar spun as he focused on sensing the movement of space. While the battle was taking place, flows of soul consciousness were everywhere. No one noticed his soul consciousness, as he had dismissed space energy in that beam. The empty fantasy crystal couldn't affect him anymore. As he had been cultivating space power Upanishad, he became more sensitive to space energy fluctuation. Soon, he found the location of the empty fantasy crystal. At a corner behind the big ship. Boom, boom, boom. Under the furious, destructive energy attack of the pirates, the 9-star Chamber of Commerce's massive battleship split and then fragmented. Hundreds of silver fragments started to scatter. A fragment of the ship with the energy fluctuation of the empty fantasy crystal shot towards the mineral star under the gloomy sky. It shot fast like a silver meteor towards the ground. Since the ship was almost 1,000 meters long, that fragment had the size of 10 war chariots. Life energy fluctuations were reported to be found inside the fragment. Obviously, there were some experts hiding there. Shi Yan's eyes glued to that fragment of the massive battleship. Light shone gloriously in his eyes. He paused for a while before saying to Feng Rao, "You have no business here. You can stay aside." Feng Rao was dumbstruck. "I don't care if you don't think that I'm honest. I want to tell you that you're really beautiful." Shi Yin grinned, then pulled Feng Rao, putting a kiss on her cheek. "See you later." An electric light boomed. His figure disappeared immediately. His life energy fluctuation vanished. Feng Rao was perplexed. Strange surprise flashed across her beautiful eyes as she touched her cheek. After a while, she stomped her foot angrily. "You want to dump me here? It won't be that easy." She knew what she had to do. Although she couldn't sense Shi Yan's aura, she knew the direction he took. Feng Rao soared up, flying in the direction Shi Yan's eyes had gazed at. Chapter 808. The Blood Soul Sea. Chapter 808. The Blood Soul Sea. While the battle was fierce, Shi Yin disappeared. He turned into a bunch of light, shooting towards the ship fragment which had the empty fantasy crystal. In the gloomy galaxy, stars twinkled and thick blood showered. Flames burned people. Shattered figures fell from the galaxy. Lives were lost. The battle between the bloody Chief Skull Pirates and the 9-star Chamber of Commerce had come to a critical moment. Russell and Fanny, the two first sky of original God Realm, had occupied the center of the arena. They were fighting each other. In this area of their battle, everything vanished. No one dared to stay in the affected area of their battle. They all stayed away as they were scared of the powerful energy attacks. Russell came well prepared. The thugs under his commands were all brutal and bloodthirsty. Most of the Fan family's warriors were hurt. They couldn't protect the materials on the ship anymore. Those pirates stayed in their war chariots. Whenever they successfully killed someone, they would gather the shining materials, stack them on their chariots, and continue to scream, laugh crazily, and kill more. Many warriors of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce were torn into pieces. Their god bodies were dismembered. Some were beheaded. The pirates hung their heads on the war chariots as their spoils. Although the Fan family was powerful, they had bad luck encountering Russell at this time. They were targeted and ambushed. Their resistance became weaker. Yin stormed fast. On his way, he extended his arm to pull the bodies that were falling into the star sea to him. He took this chance to seize the essence chi of the dead, which hadn't vanished yet. Within 10 breaths, he had gathered more than 10 bodies, half of whom were in true God realm and the other half in the first sky of King God realm. He even grabbed 1 or 2 second sky of King God realm warriors. The essence chi of the dead became a flood of energy swarming into his body wildly. His acupuncture points swelled painfully. White mist fumed. At first glance, smoke diffused from his entire body just like he was being burned. Swoosh swoosh. Bunches of energy light darted a dozen times more furiously than sharp arrows. Those lights shot towards the abandoned mineral star, making holes that went so deep that they couldn't see the bottom. Corpses gathered at one spot, moving under Yan's energy control while he hid under them. He was about to approach the ship fragment which kept the empty fantasy crystal. It was a silver, metal block around 3 mu where 10 warriors were fighting against each other. Warriors of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce wore silver uniforms with the symbol of 9 stars on the back. The Bloody Chief Skull Pirates also had the Bloody Chief Skull crest on their sleeves. At first glance, they could identify which side the warriors were on. Yin appeared abruptly on that metal silver block. He immediately looked at the bottom of this ship fragment. Fine cracks appeared on this metal block. Disorderly space energy seeped out from these fine cracks. They seemed to be able to trigger the space slits. While fighting with each other, warriors of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce and the space pirates also tried to avoid coming close to those space cracks as they were afraid that the chaotic energy inside the cracks would affect them, giving the others a critical chance to kill them. As Yin appeared, he drew the attention of both sides immediately. Both sides looked at him with dark, brutal looks. This man doesn't have the symbol of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce or the crest of the Bloody Chief Skull. He must be an outsider. Crack. A crisp sound echoed. Feng Rao's sexy body appeared behind Yin. Her brows knitted together as she shouted slightly. Tough. This group of people had 3 second sky of King God realm, 1 from the 9-star Chamber of Commerce and 2 from the pirate side. The others were at the first sky of King God realm. None of them had the lower realm than Yin. If he fought in this battle by himself, he wouldn't have been able to do anything. Might be the others would have opportunities to kill him. Since Feng Rao had left the land of God punishment for several hundred years, many pirates had forgotten her. Russell's troopers didn't recognize her either. They just glared at her before continuing their battle. Yin had spent half of his energy on this journey, while Feng Rao's life magnetic was a little weaker than usual. At this moment, she didn't have the intimidating aura of a 3rd sky of King God realm warrior. The warriors just ignored here. Since Yin had a 1st sky of King God realm cultivation base, the warriors just peered at him, and then got back to their fight. None of them paid attention to the 2 newcomers. Dried bodies drifted around Yin. A large amount of essence chi from the dead streamed torrentially and invisibly into Yin's body. Gradually, a brutal and bloodthirsty feeling multiplied from the bottom of his heart and expanded to his entire body. The negative energy seemed to materialize. Then, it condensed, turning into immense clusters of white cloud. They gathered and the wild, chaotic energy gushed out crazily. Feng Rao's face slightly changed. Her eyes shifted from the bloodthirsty aura to Yin's bearings. Since she had an idea of what was going to happen, she didn't hasten to act rashly and backed off instead. Rumble, rumble. The 2 pirates at the 2nd sky of King God realm had joined hands to use their god domains to suppress the warrior at the same realm of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. They grinned fiendishly, slashing at his head. As the warrior of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce realized that the most dangerous part of the battle was about to come, he didn't hesitate, urging all of his powers to resist. Right at this moment, Yin's blood-red eyes became hot. His refined body slightly shrank. The white cloud clusters hovering around him turned and flew towards both sides. Soul burial ground? Deploying the god domain, bloodthirsty light sparkled from his eccentric blood-red eyes. He seemed to merge with those white clouds instantly. Boom! The white clusters turned into a blood-red sea that covered the warriors. A vicious aura diffused from Shi Yan's body. Negative feelings including despair, bloodthirsty, resentment, and hatred multiplied exponentially. As Feng Rao wasn't very far away from Shi Yan, her soul altar got stagnant. Her beautiful eyes were puzzled, and she felt like her god soul was eroding. She discolored in fright. The coverage of the blood sea expanded gradually, but it didn't cover her. However, even though she was standing 10 meters away from it, she still felt her god soul get dizzy and affected. She couldn't control it. Feng Rao was terrified. She jumped back, moving 100 meters away from Shi Yan, looking at that place with fright. An eccentric situation happened all of a sudden. The blood sea of the god domain covered both sides. They now all looked congested. Bloodthirsty intentions sparkled in their eyes as they completely lost their minds and attacked each other rashly. It wasn't the battle between the pirates and the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce's members anymore. They fought against each other disorderly in a chaotic manner, not caring whether they were truly fighting their enemies or not. The pirates seemed to have bloody resentment against each other, while the warriors of the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce also attacked one another with clenched jaws. All who were covered in the blood sea of the god domain had lost their minds, as if they had fallen under a slaughtering spell. Now they had only one thought in their mind: kill them all. Within several breaths, the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce and the bloody Chief Skull pirates had already taken a big loss. Half of them were killed by their own teammates. Weak warriors were dismembered. Their soul altar was also shattered. Those fragmented soul altars were attracted by some unknown force, flashing before disappearing in Shi Yan's direction. It looked like the air had swallowed them all. Standing in the middle of the blood sea was Shi Yan with his garnet eyes and ferocious visage. The cold intention was hung on the stiff corners of his mouth. He instinctively pulled and twisted, condensing the bloody aura around him and turning it into the chaotic energy that could distort people's soul. That energy then stormed into the god body of those who had already lost their minds. Those who got hit by his bloody murderous aura shouted and screamed crazily. It looked like their life potentials had been urged to the acme. Their god bodies cracked and bled. The energy was seething wildly in their bodies as their attacks became more powerful and effective. Shi Yan seemed to enjoy all of these reactions. Standing in the blood sea, he slowly closed his eyes. As if it was as simple as taking a walk around the place, he had triggered the craziest instinct of those people, making them slaughter each other. Those thugs seemed to be in a bedevilment state. They acted like they didn't see the man standing in the middle of the blood sea. They just let him mess with the whole things. Gradually, warriors were killed until there were only 2 people fighting with each other. The 2 second sky of King God Realm pirates. The crazy, brutal, and resentful feelings of the warriors before they die flooded the blood sea, strengthening its ability to rise the bloodthirsty feeling from deep inside people's hearts. From 100 meters away, Feng Rao was petrified, looking at the blood sea. She felt her soul sinking. The desire to kill people surged in her heart like a mental disease. It made her want to tear all the restraint and join that battle to slaughter people. She discolored in fright, not daring to look at the blood sea any longer. After she could pull herself together, she turned and continued observing. Turning around the second time, she found no people alive in that blood sea. The last 2 warriors were dead too. The pungent smell of blood stormed into his nostrils. Shi Yan, immersing in his blood sea, slowly opened his eyes. There was no beam of humanity in his eyes, only the basic nature of destruction that froze people's souls in extreme fright. At this moment, Shi Yan didn't look like a mortal creature, but more like a bloodthirsty death instead, as if the meaning of his existence was to destroy all creatures. Feng Rao felt chilled. Shivers ran down her spine. She suddenly recognized that it wasn't simply luck that got him the star map. The red blood melted under the heat and refinery of the dead Upanishad. Scarlet mist entered Shi Yan's acupuncture points where it was immediately filtered and refined. The garnet eyes of his resumed their normal state. Shi Yan was dull. After a while, he took a deep breath as if he had just awakened from a terrible nightmare. He discolored in fright immediately. Even Shi Yan himself didn't know how it happened. Looking at the fragments of the bodies around him, His face was very stern, looking like he was seeing the bodies for the first time. The Blood Soul Sea, the power developed from the god domain of the dead power Upanishad, could urge the bloodthirsty desire in people's hearts and make them kill restlessly. Only when the negative feelings were urged completely would the Blood Soul Sea be created. It was like the dusty memories had been finally cleaned. A flow of memories appeared clearly in Yan's head. In just a moment, he understood the thing called Blood Soul Sea was the power developed from the soul burial ground god domain. It was the ultimate performance of this martial technique. As he had pulled more than 10 corpses with him previously, he had poured a lot of negative feelings into his body, which had stirred up the third sky of Rampage Realm. The terrifying negative moods burst out at the same time, fusing with the soul burial ground and creating the supernatural power called Blood Soul Sea. The Blood Soul Sea made those who were covered in the god domain to lose their minds completely, making them the slaves of slaughtering. Thoughts continually crossed his mind. Yin held a stiff face, forcing himself to clear his mind. He didn't dare overthink and simply grabbed the empty fantasy crystal in the ship fragment. Chapter 809. An old friend runs into misfortune. Chapter 809. An old friend runs into misfortune. Don't touch it. Feng Rao suddenly warned him, which stopped him in his tracks. What? Yin was surprised. What is the problem? You've cultivated space power. It can stir up the empty fantasy crystal. If you're careless and decide to trigger the change of space, we will be teleported to some unknown place. That could be dangerous, said Feng Rao with a solemn face. If you don't have the power to control the empty fantasy crystal, you shouldn't touch it. Since she was born and grew up in the raging flame star area, she was educated in a broad variety of fields including the features of the empty fantasy crystal. That was why she was able to remind him. At this moment, the fight around them had come to the critical moment. Both the pirates and the Star Chamber of Commerce's members were enraged. They attacked mercilessly, leaving their targets no way to escape. People continued to fall and die. Not many people had time to notice this area. As he listened to her, he stopped. Yin pondered for a while and then nodded. Seems that we need to find a war chariot to move the empty fantasy crystal out of here first. This is the best solution. Feng Rao hurried, desperate to show her opinion. However, she acted carefully because she was afraid of this man now. All right, you protect this place. I'm going to steal a war chariot, Yin decided quickly. He wanted to fly out of this place. Why should I help you? Feng Rao's countenance was cold. I'm not your slave. How dare you order me? Did you really think that I would help you so easily? You don't have a high realm. What do you base your confidence on? Yin frowned. His eyes flashed. He said deliberately, the star map is in my hand. If you want it, don't be afraid of getting close and being loyal to me. Don't worry. You'll earn something for your service. After he finished talking, he didn't wait for Feng Rao to snap back. He turned into a shooting light, aiming at the nearest lozenge silver war chariot of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. Under the gloomy star sea, Feng Rao's face was uncertain. She looked at the floating corpses and remembered the battle, which had just finished half a minute ago. Her eyes became inexplicably complicated. After a while, she stooped and snorted. However, she didn't leave. She stayed and watched the place, following Ya's orders to protect the empty fantasy crystal. The Blood Chief Skull Pirates and the warriors of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce furiously attacked each other. God bodies exploded unceasingly. Soul altars vanished in the starry sea. Dazzling energies and powers in different colors flashed and burned up in the gloomy starry sky, extending endlessly towards the other areas and shooting outwards aimlessly. The battle between Russell and Fanyi was the biggest variable of the whole operation. They were both the original God Realm warriors, stronger than anybody else present in this place. As soon as one of them defeated the other, the victor could overturn the whole situation. The place where they battled was covered in distorted energies, rocks that flew around, and thunderous lightning. All avoided getting involved in their formidable battle. Yin kept an eye on that area, nervous and stirred up. The original God Realm was worth the peak realm of the raging Flamestar area. The energy waves created seemed to be able to crush the entire mineral star. The dim-lit starry sea also cracked. Outer space energy fluttered from the disorder. The area where they battled was a dozen times more dangerous than the furious energy storm. Even the god body of the King God Realm warriors couldn't resist such mighty energy. Once it touched their energy waves, the god body vanished into thin air like smoke. Even Shi Yin, who was very confident in his god body, didn't dare go near that perilous area. Although he had spotted unattended war chariots near their battle area, he would much rather find another chariot farther from this area and snatch it from the owner. When he came close to a war chariot, he saw people with ashen looks on their faces who were about to fall from the bottom of the 9-star chamber of commerce's wrecked ship. Those people were as bony as hungry ghosts. Their life magnetic fields flickered feebly like a lamp out of oil. They were going to die in any minute. They were most likely the slaves of the 9-star chamber of commerce, confined to exploit the mines. Or they were the human body cauldrons. All of them looked pathetic and desperate. Those slaves were confined to the lowest deck of the 9-star chamber of commerce's giant ship. At the moment the ship got wrecked, the floor beneath them broke and they fell. Seeing them, Shi Yin remembered what he had experienced that year. Ruo had imprisoned him, making him a human body cauldron whose function was to make pellets for them. He had remained in constant pain, desperate and helpless as he saw no hope and his future was death. The three big forces of the raging flame star area all kept slaves and human body cauldrons. To them, people's lives weren't different from grass. They didn't treat slaves like intelligent creatures. Those people sometimes had worse living conditions than pets. Those salves fell out from the lowest deck of the big ship. Their life magnetic fields were like flickering oil lamps. They were covered in strange, bizarre flowers. They showed only their shriveled, skinny face as if their flesh and blood had been drawn out of their bodies. The pirates and the warriors of the 9-star chamber of commerce didn't notice or care about them. When they fell into the god domain of the others, they would shatter and die instantly. There were high realm warriors among these people. However, their energies had all been drawn out and their life magnetic field was drained. At the same time, the eccentric flowers had covered them, which also made them hard to release any power to defend. In such circumstances, they weren't stronger than ordinary people. Falling into the god domains, no one was lucky enough to survive. They died one after another. From a distance, Shi Yin just watched since he didn't want to catch people's attention. He aimed at a war chariot nearby. However, right when he was about to turn his head, his pupils shrank and his face darkened. Among those falling slaves, he saw someone he knew. Ruo. A beautiful, bizarre flower covered her. Her cheekbones rose as her face shriveled terrifyingly. Her usual charming look was replaced with a look that was scarily shriveled and bony. Her eyes were desperate as her pale lips trembled. She had lost the color of a healthy person. Her life's magnetic field was feeble like a flickering candle in the wind that was going to be blown out in any second. Compared to her scarily deformed face, the flower covering her was magnificently fresh with moisture. It looked mesmerizing and beautiful like it was at its peak beauty in its life. Ruo was hopelessly desperate. Her eyes were dull. She didn't notice Shi Yin looking at her. She felt lonely in the dark starry sea. Slowly, she sank towards the area where god domains overlapped. She didn't have even a bit of energy to defend herself. Once she fell into the god domain, she would be torn apart. At that moment, she would disappear and never recover again. Shi Yan's face was dark and sinister. He was enraged badly. He didn't say anything as he dashed as fast as he could towards Ruo. He reached her shortly, dragging her towards Feng Rao's. Ruo's dull eyes were hazy. She didn't realize what happened. When Shi Yin pulled her toward Feng Rao, she finally had the voice to scream, "Shi Yin." Her voice trembled. Her dull eyes got brighter, as if she finally had a flame of hope. She looked at him disbelievingly. "Why are you here? Where's Bao Ao?" Shi Yin didn't answer but asked again worriedly, "Is he a slave too?" Ruo paled. Her body inside the flower shivered fiercely. Blood trickled from her mouth as her blood chi was drawn again. The flower swayed, becoming more beautiful. Ruo's face expressed extreme pain, which originated from her bones. She gritted her teeth and couldn't talk anymore. After a while, the pain ceased. She spoke to Shi Yin in a tremble and feeble voice. "Master, my master is in there too. Save him, quickly." After she finished, Ruo fainted. Her body shriveled, and her soul energy continued to slowly disappear, little by little. Shi Yan's eyes burst into flames. He placed both of his hands on her forehead, urging his divine power. A flow of vigorous vitality gushed out from his palms, pouring into Ruo's body to steady her life force. Her life was saved temporarily. We shouldn't draw more attention. The soul-sucking demonic flower has drawn her energy for a long time. You won't be able to save her anymore. Don't waste time. Don't do stupid things. Feng Rao was calm. She had seen things like this on countless occasions, so she was numb. You must take a war chariot to take the empty fantasy crystal. We must seize the chance when they're still chaotic and will run away. When one of them win, we will lose the chance to escape. Help me take care of her for a while. There is someone I must save. Shi Yin said resolutely with a dark face. Even if I have to give up the empty fantasy crystal, I have to bring them back alive. Then, he disappeared. Feng Rao was surprised. After the time they had spent together, she thought she had understood Shi Yin well. She thought that Shi Yin was a vicious and heartless man who would never care about others. She thought he would sacrifice anybody to achieve his goals. However, they were just one step away from the empty fantasy crystal, and they could take this valuable chance when the two sides were still battling to run away. However, because of these slaves, he decided to risk his life to save them instead. Shi Yan's unusual actions surprised Feng Rao. This was a trait of his that she hasn't seen before. He wasn't a heartless and ungrateful man. It was just he didn't have a friend worthy of his friendship and good treats. It looked like he does remember favors, she thought. Shi Yin sent his soul consciousness to search through the group of slave falling. A familiar life energy reported in his sea of consciousness. Shi Yan's eyes brightened, dashing wildly toward a falling shadow. That shadow was just one step away from the god domain's overlapping area. In the next second, both his flesh and soul would be crushed. It was Bao Ao. Bao Ao was one of the leaders of the demon clan in the Grace Mainland. He had given Shi Yin lots of help and gone with him to the raging Flamestar area. They had shared good and bad times together. At this moment, Bao Ao was so weak and deprived that he didn't look like a human anymore. His eyes were gloomy, no light sparkling. There was no color on his face. His mouth curled into a painful and begrudging arch. As he knew he couldn't escape death this time, he was desperate. He was also covered in a soul-sucking demonic flower. His body fell like a willow catkin. The beautiful flower and his ashen face contrasted terribly. Chapter 810, Space Riot. Chapter 810, Space Riot. Swoosh. A beam of electricity-like light flashed. Someone grabbed Bao Ao's falling body, pulling him out of the area where the god domains overlapped. He was saved. Bao Ao was scared. He felt a gust sweep over him. When he pulled himself together, he found someone next to him. He recovered faster than Ruo, although he was astounded for a while before he could react. He screamed with a great surprise. Shi Yin. Where's Master Jieji? Shi Yan's face darkened, as if he was filled with some kind of murderous aura. Where's Gudasi? Don't talk about other matters. Saving people is most important right now. The battle between the pirates and the 9-star Chamber of Commerce had come to the critical moment. Russell and Fanny showed their realm abilities. Both of them were bleeding. The energy shockwaves they had created swept through the place. No one dared to come near them. More slaves stuck in the demonic flowers fell from the bottom of the wrecked ship. Shi Yan's movement didn't draw much attention. In the eyes of those who were fighting, the dying slaves weren't worth mentioning. Whether the slaves died or not didn't concern them. No one batted an eye. Bao Ao's eyes were deep in his sockets. He had no color in his face at all. His life energy moved feebly and exhaustedly. The flame of his life seemed like it would extinguish at any moment. While Shi Yin was asking Bao Ao, both of his hands were placed on the Bao Ao's neck to pour his vigorous vitality into his body to make sure he wouldn't die quickly. Gudasi couldn't resist. He's gone. Bao Ao gathered himself together quickly, his face bitter and sorrowful. Jieji should be still alive. Please go find him. Don't let anything bad happen to him. All right. Shi Yin held Bao Ao with one arm, while his soul consciousness swayed like a shuttle between the falling slaves to find Jieji's life energy fluctuation. A bunch of light emerged in his head. The invisible space soul consciousness had locked a new target. Without any hesitation, he pulled Bao Ao and flew away. His figure flashed, swaying between the slaves to reach the bottom of the big ship. Boom, boom, boom. The silver stones of the ship bottom exploded. More slaves were falling. In a sealed cell at the bottom of the fragmented ship, Jieji's life energy fluctuation flashed on and off. His situation seemed to be even worse than Bao Ao's. Boom. Under his crazy bombarding, the sealed cell turned into scattering pieces of rock. A withered, deformed face appeared. It was Jieji. Jieji's eyes were blank, as if his soul had been taken out of his body. He couldn't see Shi Yin. His eyes had no focus, almost like he was in a nightmare that he couldn't wake up from. Shi Yin grabbed something in the air, and a strong force pulled Jieji and the soul-sucking demonic flower toward him. Shi Yin held Bao Ao in one hand and Jieji in the other. He urged his powers to the limit, flying towards Feng Rao location without any hesitation. Ah! Feng Rao mouthed some exploding words, which were going to explode soon. They became energy arrows that naked eyes could see. Two tall figures were laughing. They surrounded Feng Rao. They were using their energy attacks, attempting to capture Feng Rao. As soon as Shi Yin appeared, Feng Rao screamed in fear. Watch out! They recognized me. The two of them were 2 meters tall, wearing bloody armor. There were so many scars decorated their exposed arms. These 2/3 sky of King Godrealm were the most brutal villains under Russell's forces. They knew Feng Rao's identity. Seeing her, they were strangely stirred up. They realized that they would win a significant reward if they caught Feng Rao and used her to threaten her father. Although Fengke's reputation was well known among the pirates, Russell wasn't afraid of him. His subordinates wouldn't let Feng Rao go just because of her infamous father. Also, if they could capture Feng Rao alive, Russell knew that he could use Feng Rao to bribe Feng Ku for some benefits. Capturing Feng Rao would result in huge merit. Of course, those two wouldn't stop their attack here. They were extremely excited. Bo Rua's soft body was lying on the silver fragment motionlessly. In their eyes, she was just a slave of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. Her value was meaningless, so whether she lived or died was trivial. They wouldn't distract themselves from the main goal by attacking her here. That was why Bo Rua was able to lie safely there. Space blades. Shi Yin cleared his mind and concentrated. Seeing that they were still a distance away from the other group, he fiercely shouted and released his god domain. Sharp shining space blades shot out from his god domain, aimed at the two pirates of Russell. Space energy was urged. Space blades shot out rapidly. Near the fragment, the narrow and long space blades seemed to have a connection with the empty fantasy crystal, which increased their power. They became longer and faster. Like 100-meter-long swords, they slashed across the sky. Those space blades could cut through the body, an intimidating feature of space power. Although the other two had the 3rd sky of King God Realm, seeing the space blades transform under the power of the empty fantasy crystal drained their faces from fright. They didn't dare come close to Feng Rao. The two of them jerked back and retreated quickly as if they just saw ghosts. Shi Yin wore a dark face while moving through the space blades. When he reached Feng Rao, he threw Bao Ao and Jieji to Bo Rua but didn't turn around. Help me take care of them. At this moment, Feng Rao's power had recovered only 50%. Although she was also at the 3rd sky of King God Realm, she would still inevitably fall and be captured if she fought these two pirates. She understood the situation well. After hesitating for a while, she decided not to use her powers anymore and instead just stood behind Shi Yin to watch Bo Rua, Bao Ao, and Jieji. Kid, who are you? You aren't from the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. Are you here to take the goods from our bloody chief skull pirates? One of the two pirates went to an area where the space blades didn't have any effect. He wasn't scared and he smiled coldly. If you have any idea what is going on, you should hand over Feng Rao. I will let you live. Otherwise, I'm afraid you will not be here much longer. They had realized that Shi Yin had only the first sky of King God Realm cultivation base. Even though his space power was eccentric and powerful, they still weren't afraid of him. They thought that they just needed to wear out Shi Yan's strength and energy. Then, they would defeat him easily. Shi Yan's face was cold. He didn't say anything, squinting while urging his god domain of space power. Its coverage extended gradually. Staying here and fighting them is not a smart move. The Bloody Chief Skull's warriors are all tough, and there are more than 2 of them. Feng Rao let out a low shout. Find a chance to escape and leave. If we linger, something will happen. If the 2 of them joined hands and put all their efforts to stay alive and flee, they had a chance to survive. However, if more warriors came, leaving would become an impossible task. While one of the 2 pirates spoke to Shi Yin, the other seemed to be finding Russell to report the news to him. The boss of the Bloody Chief Skull was still fiercely fighting Fan Yi. Receiving the news, he was bewildered for a while. After giving some thought, he shouted ear-piercingly, "Get Feng Rao for me. I want her alive." As his voice echoed the command, more and more pirates dashed toward Shi Yin with wild and crazy looks on their faces. Feng Rao discolored in fright. She was petrified and felt helpless. Even if she still had the power of the peak of King God Realm, she would have no way to leave. And she definitely wouldn't be able to leave when Russell entangled her. Feng Rao's heart sank bitterly and begrudgingly. Jeji fainted. He had no energy left in his body due to the soul-sucking demonic flower on his chest, which was blooming in a bizarrely but beautiful way. Bao Ao healed a little bit thanks to Shi Yan's energy. He looked at Shi Yin with astonishment. His eyes brightened, as if he had never thought that Shi Yin could have such mighty power. It's not good to fight at this moment. We should go. Shi Yin pondered for 3 seconds, and then decided soundly. Take them to the empty fantasy crystal. Feng Rao was baffled for a second. She reacted immediately, bringing Bo Ruo, Bao Ao, and Jeji to the silver fragment. Since they didn't cultivate space power, even if they landed on empty fantasy crystal, they wouldn't be able to stimulate its power to create a space change. That kid cultivates space power Upanishad. The empty fantasy crystals there. The 3rd sky of King God Realm warrior who had just talked to Shi Yin reacted. He screamed in fear. Warriors who were approaching seemed to know something. They halted with frightened looks on their faces. At this moment, Shi Yin suddenly walked to the place above the empty fantasy crystal. Both of his hands then pressed down forcefully. Waves of intimidating space movement gushed out from Shi Yan's hands, which then manipulated the strange magnetic field of the empty fantasy crystal and the surrounding space. Each of his space blades increased several times in size for the 2nd time. They covered the sky, flying aimlessly. The massive fragments of the battleship floating around were slashed into smaller pieces. Pirates retreated in a panic with the space blades crossing over. Space dinted strangely, making a 5-colored cave entrance. Shi Yan's group and the empty fantasy crystal sank little by little into that glorious entrance, gradually disappearing. After the space blades wreaked havoc around, they shrunk and disappeared into that dazzling 5-colored entrance. The Bloody Chief Skull pirates came near and observed. They found nothing strange in that area. Shi Yan's group and the empty fantasy crystal had vanished into thin air, leaving nothing behind. F***CK. That kid used the empty fantasy crystal to stimulate the space teleport. One of them shouted irritatedly, his face helpless. In the past hundreds of years in the Raging Flame Star area, we haven't had a warrior who managed to learn space power. Who is that man? Who knows? I heard that one of the imperial masters of the Dark Firmament Divine Nation understood space power Upanishad profoundly. So many years had passed by. Who knows if he had left any inheritance? Another warrior said. Feng Rao disappeared for 200 years. Why did she suddenly appear here? Everybody thought that she was dead. She used to be a thorny rose of the land of God punishment. It was so unexpected for her to appear so randomly. I don't know why Feng Ku had hidden her away. Only the devil knows. A group of pirates swayed around the place where Yan's team disappeared, discussing for a while. Seeing no wave of space energy emerging, they stooped their heads and scattered, venting their anger on the warriors of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. A new round of the bloody battle commenced. Chapter 811. The Foreign Milky Way. Chapter 811. The Foreign Milky Way. 5 colored rocks floated in the Milky Way. The smallest rock had a diameter of about 1,000 meters, and the bigger ones were comparable to an islet. Those strange stone rocks were floating in the Milky Way. The scene was marvelous. The water of the foreign Milky Way was gray and muddy, and people couldn't see what was at the bottom. This Milky Way was endlessly vast. No one knew where it led to. Tremendous space slits appeared near the foreign Milky Way. Colorful lights beamed out from the slits like countless meteors shooting. So many space slits zigzagged past the Milky Way like giant beasts that swiftly dashed to eat all kinds of creatures. If people saw them, they would have been very scared. Yan's team was on a massive, dark green rock floating along the Milky Way. This rock had nothing on it. No grass, no trees, only the deadly, heavy atmosphere. The empty fantasy crystal was next to Yan. Its size was about 1 mu of land. It was sparkling with strange light. At first glance, he could see so many fine cracks inside the empty fantasy crystal, which were similar to the space slits around them. Feng Rao grimaced. She observed the surroundings and said nothing. Yan acted normally. As soon as they arrived on this rock, he immediately transferred the vitality to Bao, Jieji, and Bo Ruo. Then, he sat down neatly, not giving them another glance. Long after that, Yan had used the energy in his acupuncture points to refine his body, increasing his power. Also, he had condensed several hundred drops of immortal demon blood. He closed his eyes. When he woke up, his vision was clear when he looked at the foreign Milky Way and the cracks. He smiled with satisfaction. Yan, Jieji's feeble voice arose. Although his eyes weren't dull anymore, he was still very bony. Bao suddenly crouched in pain. The soul-sucking demonic flower on his body shook and drew his vitality one more time. The demonic flower became fresh and beautiful while Bao paled. Bo Ruo looked at him with sadness in her eyes. She couldn't help but call him out of worry. Master Bao. Bao craned his neck, trying to squeeze a smile out of his mouth to comfort her. Don't worry. I won't die now. What happened to you? How did you fall in this situation? Yan looked at them with a dark face. The flame of anger blazed inside him. We encountered the warriors of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce on that mineral star. The Underworld League's warriors who had captured us were killed. They took the 4 of us and brought us to mine to exploit us for a while. Jieji talked with a bitter visage. We had been slaves in the mines for around 5 years, added Bo Ruo. Her eyes sparkled with cold resentment. Bao and I had entered the King God realm during that stage, sighed Jieji. We thought that we would be able to have better days after. Instead, our lives became a nightmare. I've also reached the 3rd sky of True God realm. It was too bad because soon after that, we couldn't even be mine slaves. They confined us, making us human body cauldrons. We had to use our blood and energy to nurture this soul-sucking demonic flower, said Bo Ruo through her gritted teeth. One day, I will make the 9-star Chamber of Commerce pay a big price. With who? Just the 3 of you? Feng Rao suddenly intervened. The 9-star Chamber of Commerce is one of the 3 biggest forces in the raging Flamestar area. They have countless warriors. They even have several original God Realm experts and plenty of warriors at the 3rd sky of King God Realm. If you want to go against the 9-star Chamber of Commerce, you are completely unaware of your place. Even my father doesn't dare say such rash words. Then, Bo Ruo's group darkened their face. They became dispirited as they knew that it wouldn't be easy to take revenge. After they had told him what they had been through, they looked at Yan and asked in unison, You? After we parted, nothing good happened. I was also a human body cauldron for a while, sighed Yan, but it was better for me. I broke the chain and went to the dark firmament divine nation. Yan explained simply and didn't conceal much. You've already reached the 1st sky of King God Realm? Bao was astounded. You have greater potential than us indeed. When we arrived in the raging flame star area, I remember you had only the first sky of true God realm. It's been just 10 years, and you've broken through to the king God realm. It's incredible. Jieji and Borua also looked at him like they were looking at a monster. Since they had spent time in the raging flame star area as mind slaves and human body cauldrons, Bao and Jieji had a greater understanding about how strenuous it was to leap from the first sky of true God realm to the king God realm. Some warriors had spent hundreds of years, but they couldn't make the jump of this giant gap. And he had made this jump in just 10 years. Feng Rao was baffled listening to their conversation. She felt dizzy as if she was listening to something unreal. How were these fellows so abnormal? The fact that Bao, Jieji, and Bo Ruo were able to break through as mind slaves were unimaginable. As for Shi Yin, he had spent only 10 years to leap from the true God realm to the king God realm. This was a miracle that has never happened in the raging flame star area before. Feng Rao understood that the others weren't lying to her at this moment. Actually, they didn't need to do that. That's why she was utterly frightened, looking at Shi Yin as if she saw a monster. Who were they? Where did they come from? Why were these people all abnormal? The earth and heaven energy on the Grace mainland was poor, which was why Bao, Jieji, and Bo Ruo were the top warriors who entered the peak of true God realm. They were the warriors with the best innate endowment of the Grace mainland. Otherwise, they wouldn't have progressed so fast to the peak. The environment in the raging flame star area was better for cultivation than in the Grace mainland. Also, they had useful divine crystals to use. Bao, Jieji, and Bo Ruo were all talented. After they had arrived in this place, they had time to accumulate, so they all had broken through to the new realm. It was not too illogical for such a progression to occur. However, Feng Rao's progression was unimaginable. She thought that the innate endowment of those people was outstanding, especially Shi Yan's. He could be deemed a miracle. At this moment, when Feng Rao looked at Shi Yin, her perception of him completely changed. Maybe one day, this man will be the greatest within Raging Flame Star area. She thought unconsciously. I'll help you to destroy those demonic flowers. Shi Yin contemplated for a while, snorting before he was about to take action. Don't. Feng Rao suddenly woke up, screaming in fear. If you don't want them to die immediately, don't act rashly. Bao, Bo Ruo, and Jieji screamed in unison. Don't. Shi Yin was surprised. He frowned at Feng Rao. What is the problem? The soul-sucking demonic flower has formed a magical connection with their god soul. If the demonic flower dies, their soul will be obliterated. Feng Rao's visage was solemn. This soul-sucking demonic flower is eccentric. It sucks blood, energy, and soul energy of the warriors to bear the spiritual fruits, which are so precious to the third sky of King God Realm warriors. When the soul-sucking demonic flower has formed the connection with the warrior, it's almost impossible to destroy the flower. It will continually suck the life, blood, and energy from the warrior until the warrior dies. She's right. Bao beamed a forced smile. When the alchemists of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce planted the demonic flowers in our bodies, they said the same thing. Once the demonic flowers bind to us, we will slowly die. It is just the matter of time. The alchemists said that it was impossible to remove the flowers. If the demonic flower is destroyed, the person's god soul will also be destroyed. When the demonic flower leaves the warrior's body, the warrior will wither and die. The warrior's soul will vanish at the same time. Feng Rao nodded. You better not act recklessly. Listening to them, Shi Yin grimaced more. He punched the massive rock under his feet. Boom, boom. Shattering sounds echoed from the rock. Chips of rock scattered when the rock was broken into several big pieces. Feng Rao was astounded and gave him a deep look. No wonder why you said that I couldn't destroy you even if I was restored to my best condition. I didn't believe you, but I do now. After this time of quenching his body and condensing the immortal demon blood, Shi Yin put one foot into the second sky of King God Realm. The bursting but tenacious body of his was several times stronger than the real second sky of King God Realm warriors. The powerful shockwave he created in his anger had shaken Feng Rao. So there is no solution? Shi Yin turned his head, looking at Feng Rao angrily. Under his cold, murderous look, Feng Rao felt chilled inwardly. She changed her countenance and answered him immediately. We have. An alchemist at the original God realm can cut the connection between the demonic flowers and their lives. However, it costs a lot of energy. Not many alchemists at this level would be willing to help you. Shi Yin, don't waste your efforts on us. We know we can't avoid this ordeal. Since we were able to meet you and tell you what we've experienced before we die, we are satisfied. Bao smiled. He seemed to not be bothered too much by his condition. You just need to remember to avenge us. Then, we will be able to rest in peace. Jieji laughed out loud. As they used to be the overlord of the demon clan in the Grace mainland, they understood life and death well. Even though they had fallen today, they would never be cowards. Is there any original God realm alchemist in or near the land of God punishment? Shi Yin snorted before turning to ask Feng Rao. There's one guy, Feng Rao answered gingerly, but he is eccentric and brutal too. He's tough to deal with. Even if he had the ability to cure this, he won't help you. At the same time, I don't think you are strong enough to threaten him successfully. My advice to you is to not take risks. I can't threaten him, but I can bribe him somehow, right? Shi Yin asked coldly. What will you do then? Feng Rao laughed. Do you know how much energy it would take to cut the connection between the soul-sucking demonic flower and the soul of the human cauldron? Just one minor mistake and his soul will be at risk too. To the alchemist at that level, the damage to the soul is the most terrible thing. He won't take such a risk for you. You can't offer him enough to make up for it. Is it enough? Shi Yin snorted as something emerged from his palm. Feng Rao's beautiful eyes glistened. She eyed the object then shouted, How generous you are. It was the star map. I just asked, is it enough? Shi Yin stared at her, not even blinking once. Of course, no one could reject the star map. Feng Rao was inexplicably astounded. She hesitated for a while then said, Are they worth it? Absolutely, Shi Yin said resolutely. Bao, Jieji, and Bo Ruo looked at the star map in Shi Yin's hand skeptically. As they didn't know the secret behind the map, they were surprised. Chapter 812. Meet the World Extinguishing Thunder Flame Again. Chapter 812. Meet the World Extinguishing Thunder Flame Again. You were lucky to befriend Shi Yin. No one would pay such a huge price for 3 human body cauldrons. Feng Rao studied Bao, Jieji, and Bo Ruo. After a long moment, she sighed, talking with a complicated look on her face. If this man will give the star map to me, I will forgive him for everything, Feng Rao thought. Star map? What is that? Jieji's eyebrow twitched, asking with astonishment. A new star area, which hasn't opened up yet. It has around 10 life stars, and even level 7 ones. Also, it has a lot of mineral crystals and spiritual herbs. When the 3 big forces know about this star map, they will send all the experts to steal it, explained Feng Rao. Just like lightning striking their heads, Bo Ruo, Bao, and Jieji gawked. Light sparkled in their eyes, clearly not believing what she just said. They had been in the raging flame star area for 10 years. They knew how important life stars were. A life star was equal to an entire Grace mainland with abundant earth and heaven energy. But what did it mean for the life star to be level 7? The 3 of them couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that Shi Yin had given up such a priceless treasure for their lives. Shi Yin, it isn't worth it. Really, it isn't worth it. Bao was baffled for a while. After that, he hastened to convince Shi Yin. You just need to bring our clansmen to the raging flame star area. We will remember your kindness forever. We don't want more than that. It's okay if we die. For your race to continue existing, you have to learn how to give up some lives. Bo Ruo and Jieji were touched. They had never thought that Shi Yin would give away such valuable treasures for their lives. When they were still in the Grace mainland, the help they had given to Shi Yin was far less than his favor today. They say that a drop of help should be paid back with a stream. This was absolutely not a stream. This was equivalent to oceans and all other bodies of water. Stop saying that. Yin waved his hands. We came here together. When I left you previously, I felt hopeless. I was ashamed for years. Since we meet again today, I will not abandon you guys again. It's okay if I don't have the star map. In the future, I can definitely find a new life star. If we meet up, it will be destiny. I want you to have a better life. Bao's group of 3 didn't know what to say. They were so touched. How about negotiating with me? Feng Rao suddenly smiled, thinning her lips. You give me the star map and I promise you that I will not only cure them, but I will also give you a life star if that will help settle with your friends right now. How does that sound? Yin was surprised. With your realm, power, and reputation, you won't be able to make the original God Realm alchemist help you. I won't be able to either, but my father can. Feng Rao didn't want to deceive him. For their lives, it is too much to pay with the star map. My father can offer you something back. I believe that if you agree to hand over the star map, he will hold onto a life star for you. I swear this. What do you think? For the star map, Feng Rao had lived for more than 200 years in the Purgatory Star. She understood its value best. A whole new star area with countless treasures could make anyone go crazy. Anyway, the lives of 3 human body cauldrons weren't as important as the star map. Okay, Yin agreed resolutely. I will keep the star map for now. When the 3 of them are cured, I will hand it over immediately. I will keep my word. Deal. Feng Rao finally smiled relaxedly. Bao's team was so stirred up. Their eyes brightened as they were thrilled. They had hope after finding a way to survive. Since they had a plan, they didn't mention their deadly situation anymore. The 3 of them silently waited for a chance to be freed from the chains of the demonic flower. Afterward, they could continue their progress on the martial road and get stronger and take revenge by killing those people of the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. Where are we? Yin studied the surrounding, his eyes strange. Do you know where are we? Oh yes. Feng Rao nodded and smiled. This is a strange star area near the land of God punishment. There is a dangerous black dwarf star, which has the same foreign Milky Way like this one. We don't know where it starts or ends. It seems endless, though. We should be on that Milky Way now. A black dwarf star is a theoretical stellar remnant, specifically a white dwarf that has cooled enough so that it no longer emits significant heat or light. She pointed at one end of the Milky Way. We are moving forward. Perhaps we can reach that end of the Milky Way near the black dwarf. Haha, you shouldn't wonder about the other end. Many pirates have used hundreds of years to explore that area. They couldn't find out where it goes and their bodies are now lost there for eternity. Yin was astounded. That end is infinite. The further you go, the more dangerous it is. Of course, I never explored that area. I don't know what dangers hide there. We shouldn't take risks. As Feng Rao and Yin had sealed their deal, she was in a satisfied mood. We should go this way. If we are lucky, perhaps we can get to that black dwarf after several months or 1 or 2 years. When we get there, I know how to go to the land of God punishment. Yin nodded. We'll do what you said. However, we don't need to leave yet. I need more time. Why? Asked Feng Rao. Don't you see that this is the best place for me to cultivate? Feng Rao's eyes brightened, reacting fast. True. Space cracks spread along this place. You can learn space power Upanishad here. It is the best thing you can do for your realm. I will send more vigorous energy into their bodies one more time. Then, I will cultivate for a while. After I'm done, we will depart. Yin didn't linger there. He walked to Bao's and released the Death and Life Power Upanishad. The fountain of vigorous energy in his body poured directly into their sea of consciousness. Bao, Jeji, and Bao gradually glowed as they received his energy. Their eyes became livelier. In a short period of time, the soul-sucking demonic flower couldn't use up their blood chi and vitality completely. They would survive for at least another 6 months. Afterward, Yin looked at Feng Rao and smiled. From now on, I won't restrain you anymore. You can recover your power to the peak of your realm. Yeah, considering the value of the star map that you gave to me, I will temporarily forgive you. Feng Rao lowered her voice and stooped her head. Her neck reddened. However, I will never forget the trauma you gave me. Asshole. Sooner or later, you will pay back for messing me up. Yin smiled, knowing that she wouldn't forgive him that easily. However, with the big bait, the star map, in her hands, she wouldn't attack him for the time being. After all this is over, we should talk. Since we have common interests, just let it go for now, he said deliberately before leaving, flying toward the space slits over there. Feng Rao lifted her head. Her glorious eyes stared back at him. Her countenance was complicated. He didn't know what she was thinking. Halting in the area with space slits, Yin felt the magical energy fluctuations of space. He slowly sat down cross-legged in the void, releasing his soul consciousness. His soul altar spun slowly while the seals of Upanishad became crystal clear. Space energy that emitted from his body seemed to connect directly with each space slit. Varying amounts of his soul consciousness seeped into each of the space cracks. Then, all of his soul consciousness flowed out, entering the space slits out there. A magical feeling arose in his head. He had an illusion that his body became the door to space. His soul consciousness swayed in and out the space slits. They seemed to make a connection with the invisible space. They then became the magical heaven gates that could link to other star areas. Only warriors who cultivated space power with the soul consciousness tamed by space energy could let their soul consciousness visit the space cracks without being devoured. The soul consciousness slowly elongated in the space slits. The soul altar revolved. Yan's god soul was clear and calm as he continued sensing unceasingly. Gradually, his aura vanished as if it had fused with space, and it seemed to become one of the countless space cracks. Not long afterward, a feeble connection arose in his soul. It seemed like there were even more space cracks within the space cracks. Each space crack was like the space passage, which interlinked and extended to everywhere. They seemed to connect the infinite number of star areas. Yan's soul consciousness continued to extend. After an unknown period, one flow of his soul consciousness suddenly reported to him about a familiar energy fluctuation. It felt like a bit of the soul consciousness that he had exiled, which had sensed its master's calling. The god soul trembled slightly. He condensed his soul energy, making his vision extend infinitely in the direction of the familiar soul fluctuation. A flow of his soul consciousness crossed many space intersections and varying spaces while heading forward. A blue light flashed in a chaotic space basin. The beam of feeble soul consciousness in it connected to his and fused into one. Urging his supernatural power, Yin used his fused soul consciousness to cover that blue dot of light. From its location, his beam of soul consciousness shot out immediately from a space crack. It was an immense blue flame, condensed by thunder and lightning. As soon as it emerged, thunder and lightning struck the entire space. Lightning struck in the void like terrifying dragons. World extinguishing thunder flame. The 9 Serenity's soul-devouring flame, which was sinking in his soul altar, sent him its thought immediately. You found him. Return. Yan's gazed at that blue flame before pulling it into his soul altar and placing it on the heaven flame tier. There was no answer. Yin calmed down and continued using his soul consciousness to search the remnants of the world-extinguishing thunder flame soul that he had expelled into the chaotic space flow that year. Soon after, he found a new connection. Yin hastened to use all of his force to chase. Soon, another blue flame emerged from the space split. He put it into his soul altar, too. Time flies hurriedly. 2 months had passed silently. There were 7 blue flames he had captured from the far, far away space chaotic basins. They gathered and fused with one another in his soul altar. The world-extinguishing thunder flame had a new life one more time. Chapter 813, Breaking Through. Chapter 813, Breaking Through. In the battle against the world-extinguishing thunder flame that year, their battle had ended with both parties receiving injuries even though his heaven flames had joined hands. They had used a lot of Yan's soul energy, but they couldn't subdue the world-extinguishing thunder flame. They could only expel it into the chaotic space basin. It has been years and Yan's expertise in space mysteries had progressed much. Also, His realm had reached the king-god realm with the god body and god soul. The heaven flames had advanced thanks to his achievement. Today, the 7 parts of the banished blue flame had been gathered. They combined with each other in Shi Yan's soul altar. The world-extinguishing thunder flame began its new life. Shi Yan was floating near a turbulent space crack. He squinted while using his soul to connect to the world-extinguishing thunder flame. His heaven flame surrounded the blue flame of the world-extinguishing thunder flame and released their energy waves with different auras to communicate with it. The world-extinguishing thunder flame had been hurt and detained in outer space for so many years. When it was able to gather within his soul again, its pugnacious nature burst out. He tried to subdue and melt the heaven flames in the soul altar to increase his power. Unfortunately, times have changed. His evil deed wasn't favored anymore. The strange energies of the 9 Serenity soul-devouring flame, the Een ghost flame, and the vermilion bird true flame flooded over, pressing the world-extinguishing thunder flame's refined lightning strikes down and confining it to the soul altar. The earth flame, ice-cold flame, and corpse-vanishing flame also released their energies. The extremely cold energy, flaming energy, and gloomy, freezing soul energy twisted and entangled each lightning strike. They had bound the world-extinguishing thunder flame tightly it couldn't wiggle. You don't have another choice. Stay obedient, or you will be destroyed. Shi Yan sent his thought, his face cold and harsh. His sea of consciousness rippled slightly, and an energy that could destroy any creature ran directly into the deep place in the world-extinguishing thunder flame soul. The dead Upanishad was activated. The destructive energy lashed around the world-extinguishing thunder flame as the soul altar was spinning. At this moment, Shi Yan had a deep understanding of his powers Upanishad through his various fighting experiences. It wasn't difficult to deal with the world-extinguishing thunder flame. He didn't think that the world-extinguishing thunder flame could do anything malignant to him and the other heaven flames. He didn't even need to take action. The heaven flames were enough to finish off the world-extinguishing thunder flame, holding it from running away. Haha, I'm interested in absorbing you. Do you want me to try it? The Een ghost flame was excitedly brutal. He continually threatened the blue flame. It looked like he just needed a nod from Shi Yan to attack. Although the world-extinguishing thunder flame was a level 5 heaven flame, after this exile, its energy had been consumed a lot. If he dared to fight the Een ghost flame recklessly, the world-extinguishing thunder flame still wouldn't dodge his fate of being absorbed. Soon, the world-extinguishing thunder flame recognized its terrible situation. Under Shi Yan's threat and other stirred-up heaven flames, the world-extinguishing thunder flame eventually gave up. It obediently connected its soul seal to the heaven flame tier of the soul altar, turning into a blue flame, which changed the heaven flame's tier one more time. Shi Yan squinted and felt them for a while. Until he saw that the world-extinguishing thunder flame had settled down, he did not withdraw his soul consciousness. Afterward, he released his soul consciousness, making his god soul clear and calm to feel and study the mysterious movement of the surrounding space. Feng Rao didn't disturb him. She had busied herself with her pellets and divine crystals to restore her power. During this time of taking in supplement energy, she almost fully restored her previously consumed powers. At the same time, her realm was strengthened a little bit further. Just like Shi Yan, she started to comprehend her power Upanishad to further understand its mysteries. Even though the soul-sucking demonic flower had taken energy from Qi from Bao Ao, Jieji, and Bo Ruo periodically, with the vitality they got from Shi Yan, they were still fine. Their life magnetic field was stable. During this short period, they wouldn't die from lack of vitality. This group of people cultivated ascetically and quietly in the center of the foreign Milky Way. They didn't notice the changes in the world out there. The abandoned mineral star was shattered. Massive caverns pierced through it from one side to the other side. The fight between the bloody chief skull pirates and the 9-star chamber of commerce had occurred over 3 months ago. Fragments of battleships scattered around the mineral star with broken war chariots and human limbs. With just a single glance, one would witness a fierce battle. A massive blue topaz battleship emerged from the dark, landing on the mineral star. A lanky but handsome silhouette flashed, flying one round above the mineral star, releasing his soul consciousness to cover all corners of this planet. At the same time, two more silhouettes flew out from the battleship, searching among the shattered corpses for something. Not long after that, the first silhouette came back to the battleship, frowning. "Sir Carthew, did you find something?" A charming figure emerged from the cabin of the ship. She was wearing a dress decorated with pieces of twinkling crystals. Her beauty was utterly unparalleled. It was Princess Ziyao. Aogera appeared next to her. He stooped slightly, gladly following her like he was her most humble servant. "Sir, we found nothing," Yalan returned, bowing to greet Carthew, then said, "There's one area with clear signs of space power movement." Carthew's eyes brightened. He dashed away immediately in the direction Yalan had just pointed. He appeared at the place where Shi Yin had triggered the empty fantasy crystal. Carthew extended his slender left hand into the air. He frowned, but he was amazed. Ziyao silently appeared next to him. Strange light rippled from her beautiful eyes. She stared at that area, lowered her voice, and repeated, "Sir Carthew, did you find something? It is the vestige of space power. It also borrowed energy from the empty fantasy crystal." Carthew nodded, turning around to face her. Seeing that Aogera didn't come here, he lowered his voice, "But I'm not sure if it was that boy. Not many people know how to use space power. Within the past 100 years, there is no such person." Ziyao's eyes sparkled as she balls her fists. "It must be him." Carthew just smiled, not voicing his opinions. "That is a possibility. How was that fight?" Ziyao's mood was in a good mood, smiling deliberately. "Sir Carthew, you are familiar with the land of God punishment, and you have some men in the pirates' organizations. You should know about that fight, right? Fanyi was defeated in the battle against Russell. He got hurt and ran away. His crew was damaged badly. The materials they were transporting from the Underworld League were all robbed. However, one giant chunk of empty fantasy crystal went missing. From my intelligence, the one using space power took it," Carthew explained. "Your Highness, he is just one member of your escort. Is he worth changing your journey schedule to check out whether he's alive or not?" Carthew was escorting Princess Ziyao to the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. As they had gone halfway, Carthew got the news that a fierce battle occurred here, and that someone had used space power. When he told her this information, Ziyao was shaken. She didn't explain anything but wanted to change her plans to check this place. Carthew couldn't persuade her. He followed her suspiciously. "He saved me," replied Ziyao seriously. "It is that simple?" Carthew smiled. "As far as I've concerned, he was not the only person to have saved you, right? Many of your troopers have saved you in critical moments. Why did you not care about them?" Ziyao gritted her teeth, rolling her eyes at him. She let out a light snort and gave no answer. Carthew laughed, but he didn't ask further. "Your Highness, don't worry. I've sent people to gather information. Yes, they will try to blend in and ask Bloody Chief Skull Pirates about his presence by using a drawing of him. If it were him, we will soon find a result." Ziyao's beautiful eyes shone radiantly. She slightly bent her soft waist. "Thank you, Uncle Carthew." "Haha, you've called me Sir Carthew, but in just one moment, I became your uncle." "You're a manipulative little girl," Carthew smiled, shaking his head. Foreign Milky Way. Countless space slits packed the area. Chaotic space energy flew out from each space slit with glorious 5-colored lights. Shi Yin moved between the space cracks, flashing on and off. Flows of soul consciousness flew like snakes inside the layers of space. A fierce soul energy wave was generated from his location. Then, space energy became clearly visible in countless space slits. They lashed around Shi Yin like tens of thousands of invisible ropes. Feng Ra shot up from her recovery process. Light shot out from her eyes as she gazed at the space slits over the Milky Way. She gawked. Astonishment filled her exquisite face. Bao Ao, Jeji, and Bo Ruo, tied by the soul-sucking demonic flower, also had their eyes brightened. They lifted their heads looking at the space slits. Shi Yan's god body was bound by space energy. His soul altar had flown out of his god body, shaking as if it had been whipped. Space energy was dense in the soul altar tier of Power's Upanishad. Looking at his soul altar, they saw the fine and thick space slits where space energy waves rippled fiercely. Shi Yan's god body looked calm and peaceful with its eyes closed. It seemed like he didn't realize what was happening around him. He stayed still. However, the god's soul, which was a replica of himself, was on top of the soul altar and had its eyes open. Fine cracks were visible in his eyes, which was the sign of space power. Space restraining power overflowed from his god's soul, covering lots of space. It seemed to freeze the surrounding space slits. Boom! The soul altar suddenly shook. The Power Upanishad tier flew out, swaying like a shuttle through the space slits to absorb the energy in there. Countless lights gathered at the Power Upanishad tier. Shi Yan's god soul bobbed, floating above the Power Upanishad tier as if he condensed the generated space energy and fused it with his soul consciousness. Soon after, Shi Yan's god soul stopped shaking. It shrank and left the Power Upanishad tier. It returned to the top tier, and the soul altar flew back to his god body. Space movement slowly calmed down. Feng Rao gazed at him for a long time. Her succulent red lips parted as she whispered, "Breakthrough. It is now the second sky of King God Realm, but he made the transition smooth enough." Bao Ao, Jeji, and Bo Ruo had their eyes brightened. They were extremely excited. Chapter 814. Outstanding Heroes Uproar. Chapter 814. Outstanding Heroes Uproar. The southwestern region of the land of God Punishment was a dim-lit area with a lot of mineral stars. A battleship made of the skeletons of the evil dragon was anchored close to a mineral star. A thin and small old man, whose face was covered in cyan tattoos, was standing on the skull of the evil dragon. His hands were hiding in his sleeves. He was looking in the general direction of the land of God Punishment. His eyes were so deep, his eyebrows slammed together as if he was missing something. 1 hour later, a young ghost Mark clan man appeared behind him, calling him father. Feng Ku turned around to look at his second son Feng Xiao. Feng Ku lowered his voice and said, "Still got nothing about your sister?" Feng Xiao shook his head. "No. She's certainly not near the land of God Punishment. Otherwise, she would have contacted us." Could something unexpected have had happened? Feng Ku mumbled, then sighed. It has been more than 200 years. For the star map, she asked to take the mission to go to the Purgatory Star. It has been a really long time. As we finally received some news, I don't think something bad would have happened to her. My sister is smart. She will be all right. Father, don't worry. I've sent our people to different bases. As soon as my sister's whereabouts are identified, we'll be informed immediately. Feng Xiao bent his head, feeling a little emotional. My sister was passionate and gracious that year. She wanted to replace me and take that mission. I've been sorry for so many years. When she gets home this time, I'll make it up for her. Sigh. It's been more than 200 years. Your big brother died in that battle. I have only you two now. Feng Ku looked at the area, his visage heavy and glum. For the star map, we paid a lot. I wonder if it was worth it. It was absolutely worth it. Feng Zhao's face was resolute as he clenched his fists, breathing heavily. The three forces always suppressed us, the pirates. When they have free time, they come to sweep us away. They have killed a lot of us for so many years. Banished people like us have only this place to shelter in. They don't want to let us go. As soon as we get the star map, we can change this situation. I hope so. Feng Ku's eyes were gloomy. A rumor spread out from the dark firmament divine nation that the star map will appear near the land of God Punishment. In time, our area will not be peaceful anymore. I heard that all the three forces will send their best warriors. A big war will rise in the land of God Punishment. Damn it! Feng Xiao shouted indignantly. How did they know? We are not the only ones keeping an eye on the star map. If they knew how important the star map is, everyone would drool and greedily seek the map. Feng Ku sighed. Help me deliver the news. I want to meet up with the leaders and discuss. As an alone force, even if we got the star map, we wouldn't be able to open it. We need to unite everybody. Father, once the other leaders know about it, they won't let us keep the star map. You have to think carefully. Feng Xiao seemed to not agree with this opinion. He tried to give his father advice. Feng Ke waved his hand. If the information was private, I would never share it with them. But because of the rumors, the three forces will come here soon. The other leaders will know then. Anyway, no one can confirm whether your sister successfully took the star map or not. If we act stubborn, we won't be able to stand firm in the land of God punishment. We won't be able to defend against the three mighty forces. Listening to his father reason, Feng Xiao nodded. Yes, father. I will deliver the news. Okay. A massive bronze battleship slowly flew towards the land of God punishment. Bai Tian, the great commander of the Underworld League, clasped his hands behind his back and stood upright on the front deck, his face calm. Bai Rou and some warriors were standing next to him. They all looked forward as if they were musing about something. Father, will the star map appear in the land of God punishment? Asked Bai Rou softly. Bai Tian wore hymn garments. He didn't wear armor, but his aura was still archaic and faint. He smiled inaudibly. It should. The one we've sent away is confirmed dead. Seems like a little girl of the land of God punishment is the only one alive. She should have the star map. Father, if we can get the star map, we can detach from the Underworld League and be independent, right? Bai Tian was one of the 3 general commanders of the Underworld League. Not only did he have a strong force with many talented warriors, he also had several life stars. However, he wasn't the hegemon of the Underworld League. He had been under someone's commands for many years. He never had a chance to step to the front. The star map was able to change all of this. Even if it couldn't make him the hegemon of the Underworld League, it was still able to grant him unimaginable benefits. His soldiers would become the strongest force in the Underworld League. When that happened, he would even be able to detach from the Underworld League and become the sole valiant overlord of a whole new region. Haha. If the star map is as amazing as what the rumor says, if we get it this time, we can change everything. We will be the strongest force in the raging flame star area. Our family will become the mightiest family in the entire star area. Bai Rou laughed cheerily. Her small and exquisite face expressed her good hopes. Foreign Milky Way. Shi Yin sat neatly on a big, moving rock. After about half a month, he opened his eyes. Feng Rao's bright eyes looked at him. Seeing him getting up, her beautiful eyes brightened. You've broken through? Shi Yin nodded and said while smiling, it was smooth. The soul altar was refined one more time. Now, I've reached the second sky of King God Realm. Even when I get my full power at the peak of King God Realm, it is possible that I won't be able to do anything to harm you. Feng Rao shook her head bitterly. You're truly from a different race. I admit that I've underestimated you. This kid is an anomaly in our Grace mainland, Bo Rua mumbled, continuing to admire him. Bao Ao and Jie Ji exchanged smiles, giving each other looks of envy. Wait until you guys recover. You will also break through fast. I know of your potential, Shi Yin comforted Bao Ao's group. If you guys can reach the peak realm in a poor place like the Grace mainland, your abilities and innate endowment are clearly amazing. I hope I can get rid of this damn demonic flower. Those motherf asterisk curs. I hate that I can't go to the 9-star Chamber of Commerce and kill them all. Damn. Jie Ji bared his teeth, his eyes flaring. You will find the chance, Shi Yin smiled, turning to Feng Rao. If we go now, how long will it take to reach the land of God punishment? If you have good fortune, it will take around half a year. Yeah, not too late. Shi Yin grabbed something in the air, and the massive empty fantasy crystal was pulled into the void, falling into a space slit near him. The empty fantasy crystal flashed and disappeared into the space slit. What did you do? Feng Rao was surprised. What just happened? Bao Ao was astounded. To make the space passage, it requires lots of energy. I still need a bit more. Shi Yin frowned and explained. Wait until I've reached the 3rd sky of King God Realm. Then, I will be able to do that. Right now, I can't. The empty fantasy crystal can't be put in the fantasy sky ring. Carrying it with us is inconvenient. I put it in the space slit here because I have to return to this place to open the space passage anyway. I need to train in this area anyway due to the special conditions. Bao's group cheered up. Wow, you can do all this? Jieji yearningly admired him. They left the Grace Mainland to find a survival gate for their clansmen in the Grace Mainland. They had been struggling in the raging Flamestar area and had suffered from severe situations for 10 years. The hope in their hearts was fading little by little. It almost disappeared. Today, Yin told them that their wish could be fulfilled. Moreover, with a gateway, they didn't need to travel tens of thousands of miles to return to the Grace Mainland. Naturally, they were in good spirits. It is true that when I break through the third sky of King God Realm, I will be able to naturally open the space gateway. Yin nodded affirmatively. When that happens, we can go home directly and bring all of them here. Bao's group was so happy they almost cracked. They felt the burdens of their sorrow that had tortured them for 10 years finally lift up from their shoulders. Let's move. We will leave this place and go to the land of God punishment. Yin smiled. Seeing them excited, he was also stirred up. He talked to Feng Rao. Did you communicate with your father? Feng Rao was baffled. She reacted reluctantly. I lied to you that time. I can't contact my father from such a far distance. My realm isn't enough to do that. Yin was surprised. It's all right. When we've reached the land of God punishment, I can contact my father. Everything will be all right then. Feng Rao laughed happily. As long as we have the star map, anything is possible. Don't worry. You won't trap me, will you? Yin looked at her seriously. When we arrive in the land of God punishment, there is a chance that many warriors will detain me and take my star map, and you will kill me and leave with the star map nonchalantly. Feng Rao parted her lips, chuckling. She nodded seriously. Oh yeah, it's a good idea. I didn't think about it before, but it seems like I should follow this plan now. Yan's bold brows twitched. He pondered about Feng Rao, laughing evilly. One day, we may be husband and wife. If you treat me this way, don't blame me for disgracing your reputation and integrity. Well, I don't care about reputation and integrity. Among the pirates in the land of God punishment, I'm infamous. Should I be afraid of the ink you want to splash on me? Feng Rao seemed to recall something and she burst out of laughter. Everyone knows that I like to party every night. I can't be happy without men. But that time, I remember that you bled, didn't you? Yin put on a frightened countenance. It was my period. It came just on time. What did you think it was? Feng Rao snorted before gritting her teeth. Yan's mouth twitched. He smiled but his eyes didn't express happiness. So you don't mind at all? Yin wasn't a fool. He had a lot of experience in that field. As an experienced man, how could he not know whether she was a virgin or not? Bao's group looked at them with bizarre looks. They hesitated for a while before jumping away like 3 Jiangshi as they were bound by the demonic flowers. They couldn't move conveniently. I don't mind. It's not a big deal, Feng Rao grimaced. She was infuriated. Are you done yet? Don't you feel ashamed? Ha ha ha. Yin cracked out laughing. He even held his tummy, crouching. Okay. I won't talk about it anymore. Suddenly, he appeared eccentrically in front of Feng Ra. He pulled her into his embrace and kissed her vehemently. Feng Rao struggled furiously. Her small fists pounded on his chest. She didn't use her energy, so she couldn't actually hurt Yin. Gradually, Feng Rao stopped kicking and pounding. She hugged him and kissed him back wildly. After a while, they detached. Yin lowered his head to look deeply into her eyes. He told her seriously, "Be with me, will you?" "I have to think about it more carefully." Feng Rao wiped Yan's saliva on her succulent red lips. Her exquisite face blushed while light sparkled in her eyes. She pretended to be calm. "I haven't forgiven you yet. Don't think you can win my heart that way. You should try harder." As soon as she finished, she didn't dare look into Yan's hot eyes anymore. She flew out all of a sudden to one end of the Milky Way. Chapter 8:15. An Agreement. Chapter 8:15. An Agreement. For months later, 5 individuals landed on a black dwarf. This dead star didn't have even a single beam of earth and heaven energy. There were no life energy fluctuations or any evidence of valuable ores. Thick smoke fumed around the star, which came from the direction of the endless Milky Way. They didn't know where the smoke originated from. The 5 who landed on the black dwarf were Shi Yin, Feng Rao, Bao Ao, Jeji, and Bo Ruo. After 4 months of flying, they finally got to this area. This place was one of the peculiar areas around the land of God punishment that was able to cut off the sensing soul consciousness. No exploring energy could reach this area. There was no creature or hovering energy, only thick gray-brown smoke. No one knew what caused it. Those clusters of smoke looked like cotton fabric sheets that covered the star. To get to the land of God punishment from here, it will only take 1 month. Because Feng Rao's power had been restored to the peak, she became more lively and cheered up. We should accelerate to reach the land of God punishment. Anyway, we must be careful and watch out for dangerous pirates. Space pirates ran amok around the land of God punishment. Thugs and villains from other areas in the Raging Flame Star area who had no place to hide would also choose this place to shelter and make a living. There was not a single life star in this entire area. Surrounding them were abandoned mineral stars, black dwarfs, meteorite seas, chaotic energy storm, and perilous places that could cut off the soul consciousness sensing. The Dark Firmament Divine Nation, the Underworld League, and the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce would send their strongest to this area from time to rampage. However, they were never able to clean up the pirates. Thugs and villains from different areas would seek refuge in the perilous land nearby. The 3 big forces couldn't find a smooth way to barge in and search for them. Since they weren't familiar with the topography and hidden dangers, they would suffer huge losses. The pirates would seize that chance and counterattack. The most brutal characters of the Raging Flame Star area often visited the places around this land. Once they found weaker preys, they would certainly show no mercy. The peripheral areas of the land of God punishment were also the bloodiest and most chaotic areas of the entire Raging Flame Star area. Battles occurred at every second. People died frequently. The dead bodies of experts would float and bob up and down in the starry sea. The energy tornadoes would pull them in, creating a terrifying mountain of corpses. Feng Rao had grown up in the Raging Flame Star area. She knew all these things. She also knew who often operated in this area, so she gave them advice. In this group of 5, only Feng Rao and Shi Yin had the strength and abilities to fight. Since Bao Ao and the other 2 were tied by demonic flowers, they couldn't help. They would just be a burden. If they fought, they would have to keep an eye on them. Otherwise, their souls would perish when merciless enemies would inevitably come to finish them. 1 month left. Okay, we're almost there. Shi Yin frowned, watching the surroundings. He scrutinized the eccentric foreign Milky Way. He needed to break through to the 3rd sky of King God Realm. With the empty fantasy crystal, he was 80% sure that he could create the divine passage that connected to the Grace mainland in packed space slits. Sooner or later, he had to get back here. He tried to remember this place so that he would be able to come back easily. Shi Yin memorized the special features and landmarks of this star area. His soul consciousness flickered, taking the star map out of his fantasy sky ring. He focused on the star map. Feng Rao's eyes brightened. She also glued her eyes to the star map in his hands. She discreetly assessed the thing. This star map was made from undying wood. Pieces of wood were connected to each other by unique spells and techniques, creating a complicated star chart. At first glance, it seemed to bob up and down magically. Shi Yin gazed at the star map, his sea of consciousness seething. Almost instantly, a vast and complex star chart appeared in his sea of consciousness. Starlight shone in a certain direction. Shi Yin's soul consciousness moved around the star map in his sea of consciousness. His soul energy was consumed fast. The star map was projected in his head, occupying a vast area. If he wanted to explore the mysteries of this star chart, he had to use his soul energy rapidly. He had to use soul energy to explore and find the marked location on this map. His soul consciousness drifted in the complex star map, exploring the ethereal starlight. After a while, he felt that his soul couldn't handle it anymore. This star map was presented in direct view in 3 dimensions. However, it was mysteriously complicated and continued to change. It seemed like a strange force was guiding Shi Yan's soul consciousness towards some direction. However, that location was too far away. If he wanted to explore it, he had to use a lot of his soul energy. After 1 hour, he felt dizzy, so he closed his eyes. The star map protected in his sea of consciousness vanished immediately. The memories of his recent exploring were erased. Shi Yan couldn't remember anything. With an astounded face, Shi Yan frowned and muttered, "So weird." "What? You couldn't locate it?" Feng Rao was so curious. She came close to him, her eyes wide open. She said, "Did you find something?" Shaking his head, Shi Yan had so many things that he couldn't explain. He explained, "This star map is very strange. It projects directly into your head. The star map is endlessly vast, and it seems to move from time to time. I felt a magical force guiding my soul consciousness to a certain place. However, it required a massive amount of soul energy. The star map showed our location too. The direction it guided me to should be the target. However, my soul energy wasn't strong enough to reach the destination, and now I can't remember anything. It is truly a perfected treasure made by the Dark Firmament Divine Nation's Imperial Master. It is so unpredictably magical." Feng Rao was not surprised. She gave a faint smile. "This kind of star map can't be copied or memorized. We can gradually get to the target by holding it and spending soul energy to find the direction from its energy. Until we can get to that particular place, the map will not give another direction." "No wonder." Shi Yan nodded. "The star map is unique. Only holding it continually and moving forward could help us reach the star area. So if I hand over the star map, unless I go with the one holding the star map, I will never get to the new star area." "That is true," smiled Feng Rao. "Will your father give up one life star?" Shi Yan pondered for a while, then probed. "Why not?" Feng Rao's voice was natural. "If the new star area has more than 10 life stars, I think it will not be a big deal giving you one." "Do you think so?" Shi Yan frowned. After a while, he continued, "I trust you, but I can't really trust your father. I'm afraid that once I give him the star map, I will receive nothing but death." Feng Rao discolored. Bao Ao, Jeji, and Bo Ruo stood far from them. They didn't come closer. They just studied their faces from a distance. "You don't trust my father?" Feng Rao's eyebrows knitted. "If you want to save them, you have to ask my father. Even if you bring the star map to meet the alchemist yourself, I'm not sure if you will come back alive. Although my father doesn't have a good reputation, he is a man of his word. Once he makes a deal with you, he will never change his mind. And if you don't trust him, you can trust me. I won't hurt you. I believe you, but the star map is crucial. I want to ensure an exit for my own escape," said Shi Yan seriously. "What exit?" Feng Rao was surprised. "Wait until we come to the land of God punishment. You will bring Bao Ao's group to meet your father. When they recover, hand them to Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tuo's men. When I'm sure they are okay, I will give you the star map. Whether or not you end up allowing me to explore the new star area with you, as long as the three of them are okay, I can accept it, even if your father changes his mind and refuses to give me a life star," said Shi Yan. "You don't trust us, do you?" Feng Rao sighed weakly. Shi Yan looked at some point further in the far horizon, his eyes gloomy. "Since the day I've been in the Raging Flame Star area, I have never met a good person. I had to constantly deal with conspiracies. It is not that I don't trust your father. It is because of my low realm and weak competence. I can't be a threat to your father. Will your father appreciate a second sky of King God Realm Warrior? He can easily take back his word and kill me. Who would I turn to for help?" Feng Ke was the strongest expert in the land of God punishment at the second sky of original God Realm. He was a leader of the strongest force among the pirates. Would an overlord who had countless troopers at the King God Realm consider an agreement made with the second sky of King God Realm Warrior? Moreover, this agreement includes a life star. Would he be that generous to give away such a precious treasure? Shi Yan was skeptical. Feng Rao knew he was a careful person. She frowned, thinking for a while before asking him, "How do you know Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tuo? Do you trust him?" "I've met him once. We share something in common. Compared to your father, I trust him more," explained Shi Yan. Okay, I agree with your plan. First, I will ask my father to cure the other three. I will deliver them to bloody slaughterer Ka-Tuah personally. However, don't mess with me. Otherwise, I will hate you for the rest of my life. Feng Rao gritted her teeth, looking at him deep in the eyes. Trust me, even if I fail it, I won't give you any trouble, Shi Yin smiled, comforting her. Then we should go. Follow me. I know a route we can take to avoid those thugs. The land of God punishment has its orders. Once we get in, it won't be very dangerous. Feng Rao nodded, showing her agreement with his decision. After we get to the land of God punishment, we will split up. Oh right. If I want to contact you, what should I do? Shi Yin nodded. He had made up his mind that when he arrived in the land of God punishment, he would contact bloody slaughterer Ka-Tuah. This man had something in common with him. Compared to Feng Ku, Shi Yin thought that Ka-Tuah was more reliable. The Heaven Punishment City is the center of the land of God punishment. My father's messenger resides there. You can go and find Mott. Feng Rao contemplated for a while before continuing. I will tell him your name. When you meet him, tell him your name. He will take you to me. Okay. The five of them departed again, heading to the land of God punishment. Chapter 8:16, Heaven Punishment City. Chapter 8:16, Heaven Punishment City. The land of God punishment was a strange place. Warriors who couldn't find shelter in the Raging Flame Star area, criminals who committed unspeakable crimes, thugs, thieves, villains, warriors who sought special items for their cultivation, and madmen all liked to visit the land of God punishment frequently. This place gathered the most brutal lunatics of the entire Raging Flame Star area. It also contained dozens of space pirate gangs. The land of God punishment was the biggest market in the Raging Flame Star area. Rare and precious materials were bountiful in this area. Materials that the pirates robbed from the other areas in the Raging Flame Star area would be transported here to trade for things they needed like massive divine crystals and cultivating materials. Whichever materials the three forces used, people could find them in the Heaven Punishment City. Materials that the three forces didn't have were also plentiful in this city. The current land of God punishment was in the most disorder, but it was also the most enticing area of the Raging Flame Star area that was managed by the four great leaders of the space pirates. Feng Ku was one of the four leaders of the pirates. Among the four, he was also the strongest. Russell managed Blue Demon and Bloody Chief Skull. Barrett managed Black Curtain. Jianong controlled Blood Rain. These three and Feng Ku were the infamous four leaders of the land of God punishment. The biggest auction house of the Heaven Punishment City, Heaven Punishment Wonderful Items, was also managed by these four. The Heaven Punishment Wonderful Items was also the biggest auction house of the entire Raging Flame Star area. Items put in this auction house all had unclear origins. Usually, they were what the pirates had robbed from the three great forces and other forces around the Raging Flame Star area. And only Heaven Punishment Wonderful Items dared to auction such rare items. The land of God punishment was a massive abandoned mineral star, which was even larger than the Grace mainland. The Heaven Punishment City was the only city in the land of God punishment. It was much bigger than a normal country. Most places in the land of God punishment were used to make hangars for battleships and war chariots. Strong pirate forces had their own territories with preserved resting areas. The entire land of God punishment was divided into different sized areas, each of which had an owner. Each owner was an expert who had experienced plenty of bloodshed and slaughter, and was also recognized by everybody. Shi Yin stayed by the horizon of the land of God punishment to observe this land. He was amazed and his eyes brightened. At first glance, this giant mineral star had so many abysses where battleships and war chariots were moving to and fro. War chariots often crossed the horizon. Also, some warriors were moving in the sky without the use of any vehicle like Shi Yin. Those warriors came from different races. Some looked indifferent while others looked brutal and malignant. Some of them grinned and watched others like they were watching their prey. Just like a pack of savage animals, they would attack each other at random times. The land of God punishment is a lawless place. Outside the Heaven Punishment City, no one cares about your life. There is no negotiation. No time for arguments. Feng Rao seemed to be excited, pointing at the city and explaining, people who came to buy cultivating materials here were killed right after they got out of the city. See, those thugs wait around the Heaven Punishment City for weaker warriors to ambush. Can you see all of those corpses from different races on the cold ground down there? Shi Yin looked as she pointed. His face changed slightly, then nodded. Waiting around the Heaven Punishment City were experts grinning and gazing at their prey. Once they found a target, they would attack immediately, showing no mercy. By the walls, they could see incomplete corpses or skeletons of beasts, which created a scene similar to Shura Hell. The Heaven Punishment City wasn't a safe place until my father, Russell, Barrett, and Jianong made rules here. No battle is allowed in the Heaven Punishment City. After that moment, peace was brought there. Feng Rao explained in details. Anybody who dares to mess around in the Heaven Punishment City will be destroyed by the four forces. After so much bloodshed and deaths, we finally brought order. Fighting is banned in the city, which protects weaker warriors coming here to buy items. If weak warriors came to buy items in the Heaven Punishment Wonderful Items, will they ever be able to leave? Do they have to stay here forever? Shi Yin was surprised. Nah, not like that, Feng Rao smiled. They can spend a large sum to hire guards. My father's Blue Demon and Russell's Bloody Chief Skull can protect and deliver them. Of course, they have to pay a heavy amount of divine crystal as their protection fee. In the Heaven Punishment City, besides the Heaven Punishment Wonderful Items, there are so many shops selling spiritual herbs and wonderful crystals. You can even find slaves, beautiful women, secret scriptures, war chariots, and even an entire battleship. Those shops belong to the pirates. They rob and then sell. Some shops are managed by the key personnel of the pirate organization. They sell items of unclear origins. Most of them are stolen goods that are only sold and bought publicly here. Shi Yin nodded. When he and Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tua split up, he had given him a blue crystal as a trustful token. He told Shi Yin to go to the Heaven Punishment City and find Ka Fu. Shi Yin guessed that Ka Fu should be a shop owner in the Heaven Punishment City. Ka Tua probably sold stolen goods to buy battleships and cultivating materials he needed, which would make his force stronger. The Heaven Punishment City has dozens of shops managed by pirates. Many leaders of the pirates have the third sky of King God Realm cultivation base around the land of God Punishment. Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tua isn't too well known. He's not considered a very dangerous character. Feng Rao smiled. If you want to find him, it's simple. He has a brother named Ka Fu. His shop is on the east side. Haha, people don't know that Ka Fu is his blood brother, but I know that. That man is too cunning. You should be careful. Don't let these brothers trick you. I have a method. Don't worry, Shi Yin beamed a faint smile. People needed nothing to enter the Heaven Punishment City. They didn't ask to see any token or identity card. All warriors, big or small, from any races could go to the city freely. Even if you are guilty of many crimes and the three forces are hunting you down with their most talented warriors behind your back, you can still enter the Heaven Punishment City. The ones with ruthless fame and savage deeds earned greater respect in the Heaven Punishment City. In the pirates' point of views, only the strong warriors with bloody deeds were the greatest individuals. Weak warriors wouldn't be favored in the Heaven Punishment City. No one would lay an eye on them. That was why Shi Yan's team met no obstacle entering the Heaven Punishment City. They then saw shops made of strange big rocks packed in the whole city. On the wide streets, warriors were drinking, relaxing, and having fun. There were also many manors with beautiful women who winked at people in revealing garments. Many warriors who passed by those manors were enticed by the beautiful eyes of those women. They didn't want to leave, so they roared and yelled, storming into those places. The pirates lived a life where they drank blood off the blade of their sabers. No one could predict when they would die. So whenever they visited the Heaven Punishment City, they would free themselves, drinking large quantities of alcohol and eating tons of meat. They would stay in a woman's bed for pleasure and forget about everything else. Those shops sold many different kinds of pellets, herbs, crystals, stone, strange metal and wood, divine weapons, maids, and servants. On every street, there were warriors shopping. Bao Ao, Jeji, and Bo Ruo had their eyes brightened seeing the eccentric and prosperous situation of this area. However, they were still bound by the demonic flowers. The warriors passing by them didn't think this group was strange. They thought that Bao Ao and the other two were medicinal slaves Shi Yin and Feng Rao had captured. They also thought that Shi Yin and Feng Rao were waiting for the demonic flowers to grow and bear fruits so that they could sell the fruits in this heaven punishment city. People in the heaven punishment city had seen many things. They weren't surprised or scared by unusual scenes. They didn't bat an eye when looking at Shi Yan's group either. You guys take care. I hope you will be all right when I see you again. Shi Yin suddenly stopped, looking at Bao Ao's team. I believe you guys will be all right. For the star map I have, Fengku won't trouble you. Don't worry. Bao Ao, Jeji, and Bo Ruo nodded. They sighed inwardly but didn't talk more. If we're fast enough, they will recover after about 10 days to half a month. Feng Rao smiled. That original God Realm alchemist will visit the Heaven Punishment City and stay here for a while from time to time. When we arrived here, I found many people gathering at his place. I think he is in the city now. Don't worry. They will recover quickly and get back to their cultivation soon. That original God Realm alchemist had also come to the Heaven Punishment City to sell his special pellets and medicines. He also refined some other peculiar pellets for those who could buy at a high price. Many pellets were mysterious and malevolent. They were banned in other areas. However, everything was fine in this city. Rumors said that that alchemist was banished because of his studies regarding poisons. That was why he had to go to the land of God punishment to continue his cultivation. He needed so many strange and wonderful spiritual herbs as well as special catalysts. Those things needed a lot of money. He had to refine customized pellets to cover the costs. That's good then. Shi Yin felt good, smiling. I just need them to be safe and sound. Then, I will give you the star map. I won't trouble you. Okay, I'll take care of them for now. Go first. Feng Rao's bright eyes studied him for a while. Then, she used her energy to bring the three others towards a place of this city. Shi Yin stood in the middle of the street where people hurried back and forth. Looking at Feng Rao disappearing into the crowd, he chuckled and changed direction, heading towards Ka Fu's shop. Warriors weren't allowed to fly in the Heaven Punishment City. It was a strict rule. Since Shi Yin wasn't impatient or rushed so, he curiously looked at the shops along the streets as he casually walked. About 100 meters behind him stood a warrior with the tattoo of the bloody chief skull pirate. He was hugging a Sea Clan woman, caressing her ample milky breasts with his big hand. His wanton eyes raked around. All of a sudden, he was baffled. Light sparkled in his eyes as he let out a low shout. Wow! This is unexpected. It's him. Chapter 8:17 Rising Winds, Scudding Clouds. Chapter 8:17 Rising Winds, Scudding Clouds _ Sir, who is he? The beautiful Sea Clan woman was curious. Her eyes were watery, and her smile was charming. The warrior wearing the bloody chief skull uniform pushed the woman who was stuck to his chest away, laughing evilly. Move, bitch. Don't hinder me from earning a fortune. This man followed Shi Yin until he saw the young man walk into Ka Fu's shop. His eyes brightened. He left immediately. He turned around, walking into a hidden training room. He found a man who was very skinny and shouted at him, Saifei, I have the information about that boy. Which boy? The old man squinted, asking deliberately. You've shown me a portrait and told me to keep an eye out for that boy. He is the one that knows how to use space power. He stole our empty fantasy crystal and ran away. The warrior laughed strangely. Pay me. I'll tell you where he is. Saifei's eyes brightened. He didn't hesitate to shout loudly. Then, a warrior came over, bringing him a fantasy sky ring. He gave the ring to the warrior and said, Tilai, check it out. Tell me if this is enough. The warrior named Tilai laughed as his soul consciousness scanned through the fantasy sky ring. His eyes brightened up. All right, enough. Not bad, not bad. That kid is in Ka Fu's store. You go get him. Tilai left immediately, not giving Saifei time to ask for more information. Sa-Fa waited for him to disappear. He took out the sound stone right away. After the connection was established, he slightly bent his body, lowering his voice. Sir Carthu, the one you requested for has finally come back. After Tili left, he turned around, walking towards the base of the Bloody Chief Skull Pirates. He shouted, I want to see our boss. What do you want to meet him for? I have business with him. Our boss is in the secret chamber. Go there yourself. Great. Tili excitedly stormed to the secret chamber, knocking on the stone door. He then lowered his voice to call, Boss, I have some important news to report. It is about the boy that uses space power. Squeak. The stone door opened wide. Russell, the leader of the pirates, was sitting cross-legged on a blue lotus. He squinted and asked, Where is he? At Ka Fu's shop. I just saw him. I don't think he has left yet, answered Tili respectfully. You've earned yourself merit. Go take 100 top-quality divine crystals and get me a war chariot. Russell got up suddenly, his face excitedly. He laughed with content. Tili stooped, laughed, and turned around. A battleship was floating quietly in the southwest of the land of God Punishment. Carthu stood on the front deck, his hand caressing a sound stone. He looked shaken. He squinted, directly sending a flow of soul consciousness towards Ziyao's cultivating room. Ziyao flew out of her room to meet Carthu. She shouted, Uncle Carthu, you received news of Shi Yin? Yes. He is in the land of God Punishment. Today, he is visiting Ka Fu's shop. Carthu smiled. Since we've confirmed that he's still alive, I've arranged my people to keep an eye on him. Finally, we found him. Haha, we will go to the land of God Punishment. Perhaps we will meet him there soon. Ziyao's beautiful eyes sparkled smilingly. He has a tough life. 3 months ago, Carthu received intel that Shi Yin was the one who had used space power in that battle. Not long after they received this news, they were also informed about the frightening change of the Purgatory Star from the Dark Firmament Divine Nation. The spirit hall built by the Imperial Masters of the previous generation had collapsed. Du Tianji knew a little bit about the star map. He said that perhaps someone had successfully retrieved the legendary map. When they confirmed the news, originally Carthu and Ziyao wanted to go to the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. Immediately, they changed their destination to the land of God Punishment. If nothing unexpected occurred, the star map is in Shi Yin and a woman's hands. His Highness sent me the message saying that Leona and Aogu Duo are moving at their fastest speed to the land of God Punishment. It has been 2 months. I think they will reach the land of God Punishment soon, explained Carthu. That bastard is a disaster. He brings no peace to everywhere he goes. Ziyao gritted her teeth. She was both happy and angry. I hope he is all right. I don't know why the news about the star map has been widely spreading. We are not the only ones who went. The Underworld League and the 9-star Chamber of Commerce have gone there. Not long afterward, the land of God Punishment will hold a lot of people, and it will be a complicated situation. Carthu rubbed his head as if he had a headache. It is not easy to get the star map. That kid is related to the star map, too. This situation is getting worse. Uncle Carthu, you're familiar with the land of God Punishment. Can we go there directly now? Ziyao was a little worried. Of course we have to go there. Anyway, we can't use the battleship. We have to get there quietly and conceal our identity. Carthu had planned earlier. He explained, those who live in the land of God Punishment are very hostile to us, especially me. I've been attacked and had to destroy them for so many years. We can't send battleships. It is too obvious. It will cause unnecessary trouble. Yeah, I will take Yalan and Taimu. You should bring only Aogera. We will use a war chariot. When we get to the land of God Punishment, we must keep our identities hidden. Otherwise, we can't leave in peace. Feng Ka, Russell, Barrett, and Jianong are all at the original God realm. They aren't weaker than me. Feng Ka's realm is 1 level higher than mine. If I appear there rashly, they will get enraged. We can only try to stay hidden. Ziyao nodded. Wait until Leona comes. It will be all right. When she comes, the ones who should run away are the pirates. Carthu smiled. We'll go there and conceal our identities. The Heaven Punishment City has never checked anyone's identity anyway. All right, I will arrange a way to get there. We can ride a war chariot to get there, said Xiao resolutely. Hey, if it's okay to not take Aogera with you, don't take him. He doesn't get along well with that boy. Once they meet, they may fight. Carthu hesitated for a while before reminding her in a friendly manner. It's difficult. While he is still alive, I can't shake him off. Don't worry, if he tries to fight Yin, I'll handle it. Then do as you please. If everything turns into a mess, don't blame me for not reminding you. Yes, I got it. Blue Demon's Base, Heaven Punishment City. As soon as Feng Rao, who was bringing Bao Ao, Jieji, and Bo Rua appeared, the pirates in the base screamed continually as they were very surprised. Our young lady is back. She is back. Many pirates of the Blue Demon followed and bowed to greet her. They all looked very excited. Before Feng Rao had left that year, her fame had always been good among the pirates of the Blue Demon. Many people had received her favors. They all respected her very much. Her appearance had stirred up the warriors in the base. They came out of their cultivation rooms to welcome her home. Little sister, Feng Xiao appeared. He was so happy that he burst into crazy laughter. Finally, you're home. Father always worried about you. It is good you're home now. Where is my father? Is he here? Asked Feng Rao. Not in the Heaven Punishment City. He is in our other base in the land of God Punishment. I will notify him. He will come quickly. Haha, when he learns that you're safe and sound, he will be so happy. He'll get here soon. Feng Xiao was so happy, studying his little sister. Little sister, you're much thinner. Where's my big brother? Feng Rao looked here and there, asking with astonishment. He's in charge of this base, is he not? The smile on Feng Xiao's face withered. His eyes became gloomy. He died on the battlefield. The 9-star Chamber of Commerce swept him and his men. He has been gone for 100 years. Feng Rao paled, water lingering in her eyes. She stood perplexedly, asking, why? Living in the land of God Punishment, we're prepared to die on the battlefield. Who can be safe forever? Feng Xiao sounded very sad. After our big brother had gone, Father collapsed for a long time. He missed you a lot. He hoped you would be all right. Now you're back. He can ease his mind a little bit. Sigh, it's just because we're not strong enough. We can only stare and suffer. We don't have the forces to invade their territory and take revenge. It's not going to be like that forever. I came back with a possibility to overturn everything. Feng Rao gritted her teeth, talking indignantly. Feng Zhao's eyes brightened. Sister, rumor says that you have the star map. Is it true? The star map isn't in my hand. Anyway, it's not different from having it. I want to see Father immediately to tell him the situation. All right, I'll notify him immediately. Feng Xiao took out the soundstone and sent the message. I'm coming right away. The happy sound of the overlord of the land of God Punishment, Feng Ka, arose from the soundstone. Little Rao, wait for me. I'm coming to see you immediately. It was a spacious shop with colorful stones and crystals. Pellets and spiritual herbs were placed neatly in their containers. Sweet and fresh aromas came from them, permeating the shop. A forthright warrior who didn't have a right arm was lying leisurely on a soft couch. He was peering at people walking on the street. This was Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tu. He owned a shop to sell goods that he stole. However, the shop was a little bit desolate recently. After Ka Tuwa had failed the mission in the Solar Star exploding fragment field, his infamous reputation fell. He also went to his secluding cultivation. It's been a long time since he went out to rob a battleship. So during this period, the shop didn't have many good treasures to sell. It gradually became quiet. A strong figure appeared at the door. As soon as he got in, he let out a low shout. Who's Ka Fu? It's me. Kid, what do you want to buy? The amputee on the couch was startled. Next, he glided toward him passionately and smilingly. I have everything you need here. I'm here to see Ka Tu. Yin intervened, not waiting for the man to finish his introduction. He flashed the blue crystal then asked, Did he assign you anything? The amputated man was bewildered for a while. He woke up and observed the trustful token for a while. Are you sure, Yin? Yes. My brother is here. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The chaotic energy seethed shortly. A figure emerged from the silent ground behind the counter. It was bloody slaughterer Ka-Tua. Finally, you have come. Ka-Tua was happy. I'm waiting for you to give me the other part of the power Upanishad. I can enter the original God realm smoothly then. Haha, my good brother. I've waited for you for a long time. Bro, didn't you come here because of the star map? Ka has invited the leaders of the other forces to negotiate and discuss this matter. Kafu felt that his brother was being ridiculous. I don't care about any star or map. Ka, Russell, Barrett, and Jianong will be here. I don't think I have a chance to take a share of the profits, bloody slaughterer Ka-Tua snorted. How can it be easy to steal the food in those old men's hands? So I came here to wait for my senior, hee. When I reach the original God realm, I can have hope that the star will produce results. Otherwise, everything would have been in vain. Not really. Shi Yin beamed a faint smile. The star map is in my hand. You do have that chance. Brothers Ka-Tua and Ka-Fu were baffled by what they just heard. They couldn't believe it. Chapter 818. A Battle of Wits. Chapter 818. A Battle of Wits _ Brothers Ka-Tua and Ka-Fu gawked. They were baffled. The atmosphere in the shop suddenly quieted down. Why do you have it? Ka-Tua was astounded. It took some time for him to find his voice. Doesn't Feng Rao have it? It's a long story. Shi Yin beamed a faint smile. This is not a good time to talk. Feng Rao knows that I'm here. I'm afraid that Feng Ku, her father, is on the move. We should leave first. The star map was a crucial matter. Most experts with a background force would try to steal it. They would even to risk their lives to take possession of it. It was unknown whether or not Feng Ku would come here personally to kill him. Either way, they had to find a safer place to talk. Yes, that is a good plan, Ka-Tua said frankly. We should leave the Heaven Punishment City. This city is managed by Feng Ku, Russell, Barrett, and Jianong. If they want to kill someone, they have many ways to do so. Ka-Fu also knew the situation wasn't good. He stopped lingering and said, Gu, you guys go first. I will arrange the meeting place and follow you. When Ka-Tua was about to start leaving, a gleam of fright sparkled in his eyes. He shouted, Someone is coming. Original God realm. So quick. Ka-Fu was scared. Is it Feng Ku? 80% or 90% chance that it's him. Damn it. It was too unreliable. I knew it. Shi Yan's face darkened. He hesitated for a while, then said through his gritted teeth, He tricked me like this. I won't let him get what he wants. A power that could distort space burst out from his body. Space slits appeared thickly around him. Radiant five-colored light shot out beautifully from the slits. The fantasy sky ring flashed. The star map created from Undying wood flew out. Under his power, it shot out and disappeared into a space slit. A massive flow of energy gushed out from his body. A beam of soul consciousness had cut off the connection with the soul altar and attached to the Undying wood, disappearing into the space slit. Hesitating for a while, Shi Yin slid the blood vein ring off his finger. As his thoughts flickered, he threw the blood vein ring into the space slit. Tearing a space slit and putting the items in there was an advantage that a warrior cultivating space power had. However, Shi Yin was still reluctant in using this ability. The power of the second sky of King God realm wasn't enough to help him maintain the soul consciousness for long periods of time. Thus, it was difficult to keep the connection with the items he had put in the space slit for a long time. In the disorderly and chaotic space basin, space energy was wildly uncontrollable. Once the soul consciousness fell into the space basin, it would be weakened and vanish. This was especially true if a beam of his soul consciousness wanted to stick to the Undying wood. This made him spend more energy to hold the connection. The world extinguishing thunder flame wasn't a real entity. It was just a fragmented soul. Maintaining the soul consciousness connection with it was easier. Also, the energy required was 1,000 times less. Because of this reason, the remnants of the world extinguishing thunder flame could be found easily after Shi Yin had expelled it. However, forming a connection between the soul consciousness and a real entity was difficult when putting it into a space slit. When he wanted to pull it out, he needed to use a force that was 100 times stronger. Swoosh! The undying wood and the blood vein ring disappeared together into the slit. The fine, thick slits vanished shortly after. Shi Yan's face gloomily darkened. He said quietly, "Whoever is coming, he is coming for the star map. There is no need to be tense. As long as I have the star map, they won't dare kill me." Ka Tuo and Ka Fu nodded quietly, pulling themselves together. Crack, crack. The ground of the shop under their feet caved in. A block of rock turned into dust and scattered. A brawny man emerged from the ground, but he had no dust on his body. "Russell." Ka Tuo's face changed. He snorted, his voice husky. "Why are you here?" Russell, the leader of the Bloody Chief Skull Pirate, grinned bizarrely. One of his hands pushed on the stone wall of the shop. Yellow soil dust started to gather on the wall. From Russell's palm, it expanded everywhere at a speed that naked eyes couldn't observe. That yellow soil dust covered the shop's walls thickly. Another yellow wall blocked the main door of the shop. No beam of light was allowed to creep in. Shortly after, the entire shop sank into darkness under Russell's power. However, 7 colored rocks and crystals on the shelves inside the shop were glowing with immense halos, so the shop wasn't too dark. After Russell was done using the yellow soil dust, he calmed down and waved his hands deliberately. A white jade chair fell behind him. He lazily sat down, smiling brightly. He looked at Shi Yan, and his pose was casual as he talked to Shi Yan. "Give it to me." "Give what? What is it?" Shi Yan frowned, asking as if he didn't know anything. "Don't pretend to be a fool," Russell laughed evilly. "Hand over the star map. I will leave immediately. I won't trouble you guys anymore." "Russell, don't go so far." Ka Tuo shouted. "No battle is allowed in the Heaven Punishment City. You guys set this rule, and now you want to violate it?" "Rule?" Russell grinned fiendishly. "I make rules. I'm not bound by it. Don't babble. Ka Tuo, you know me. This place is restrained now. None of you can escape. Give me the star map and I will leave. We will pretend as if nothing has happened." Russell had the first sky of original God Realm, 1 level higher than Ka Tuo, the strongest one among Shi Yan's group. Once the battle started, Ka Tuo, Shi Yan, and Ka Fu wouldn't be able to escape alive. Shi Yan didn't dare take action and decided to try negotiating. "The star map isn't in my hand." Shi Yan knitted his eyebrows tightly together. His face was gloomy as he said faintly, "Feng Rao has it." As soon as she arrived in the Heaven Punishment City, she went to the Blue Demon. "If you want the star map, you should find her. I have nothing in my hands. If you don't believe me, you can check it." Crack. A fantasy sky ring on his finger cracked open. Items stored inside the ring appeared. They could see the original Universe Return Cauldron, Sky-Breaking Shuttle, Thunder Witch Wood, 5 Elements Crystal Marrow, and some treasures he had refined, all lined up in front of Shi Yan, spinning. When the fantasy sky ring exploded, things it stored would be exposed. Ka Tuo and Ka Fu looked at him with strange eyes. Russell was also amazed. He frowned, but his eyes didn't leave the treasures and strange cultivating materials, which were floating and revolving. "No, not this."
No.
Russell's face darkened. His eyes flashed as he was using soul consciousness to explore those items. Then, he shouted, "None of them." His target was the star map. The other things were not what he wanted. As he didn't see the star map there, Russell clenched his jaw, grimacing. "I have only one fantasy sky ring. It is broken. All the materials are in front of you. You can check them as you please." Shi Yan was calm and natural. "I don't have another storage. With your cultivation base, I believe you can see that I don't keep undying wood. His realm isn't high enough. Going with Feng Rao at the peak of King God Realm, you think he would have had the chance to keep the star map?" Ka Tuo was secretly relieved. He followed Shi Yan and said, "Of course Feng Rao keeps the star map. I heard that Sir Feng Ke isn't in the Heaven Punishment City now. Only Feng Shao guards the Blue Demon's base. If you go fast enough, you can take the star map before Feng Ke gets back, sir." Russell's eyes sparkled. He seemed to buy it, grinning fiendishly. Ka-Tua suddenly discolored, trying to urge the chaotic energy in his body. He couldn't help but shout, "Russell, if you think you can kill us to stop us from spreading the news, it won't be that easy. Sir Fonka must be on his way now. If you want to waste your time killing us, do it. But I'm afraid you will miss the chance to grab the star map." Russell snorted, raking his cold, brutal eyes around Yin, Ka-Tua, and Ka-Fu. "Then," he said indifferently, "you're lucky this time." Swoosh! The ground cracked into a passage. Russell turned into an earthy yellow smoke and disappeared into the passage. Layers of confining force covering the shop vanished, turning into earth-yellow smoke that swarmed into that passage. Ka-Fu hurled his body onto the soft couch, wiping away the cold sweat beading his forehead. There was still fear in his eyes. Before Russell left, he definitely intended to kill them all to stop them from telling his story. If Ka-Tua hadn't said anything, they wouldn't have been able to dodge this fatal fate. F***CKM. Ka-Tua gritted his teeth, his face ferocious. "Wait until your grandfather reaches the original God realm. I will take all of it back. That bastard Russell wanted to kill us. We're lucky that my brother has stashed all the items into the space slit. Otherwise, none of us would have survived. We won't keep him deceived him for long. We should go and find a safer place first." Yin could feel a shiver running down his spine. Now he felt like a lucky survivor after a fatal incident. Russell was at the first sky of original God realm. He only stood there, but he could have given Yin an endless suppression. If this man wanted to kill them, even if Yin joined hands with Ka-Tua and Ka-Fu, they would have still likely been killed. If he hadn't been prepared and broken his fantasy sky ring to show that he didn't keep the star map, or if Ka-Tua hadn't covered them, Russell would have slaughtered them all in this shop. After that, he could reap all the rewards of the battle. Then, no one would have found them. "Here, take a new fantasy sky ring. After you're done, we will leave immediately." Ka-Fu slipped a ring off his finger, throwing it to Yin. Yin caught it and connected it with his soul consciousness. The floating items fell into the new ring. The new fantasy sky ring Ka-Fu gave him was much larger than his original one. It had many double shelves to categorize his items. This ring looked magical, and it was surely not cheap. "Thank you," Yin nodded, didn't like saying polite words. He turned to Ka-Tua. "Are you ready?" "Yep. Follow me. We should stay away from the furious wave first. We can talk later." Ka-Tua turned around and walked to the back of the shop. Yin followed him right away. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.